Okay, here we are with the 5D Chess 2023 World Championship asterisk between Ryan4 CEO and Dreamer. With me, accompanying to commentate this momentous occasion, are my co-hosts Los. Say hello, Los.
Hello.
And none other than Andre. Say hi, Andre.
Hi.
All right, we're coming to you, broadcasting live, unless you're on YouTube, from Mexico, the United States, and Russia, respectively, to see this bout between the former World Chess Championship final competitors, Ryan and Dreamer. Ryan and Dreamer, how are you feeling today? Let's start with Ryan. I was told that you did a lot of prep, but maybe not a lot of useful prep.
Yeah, most lines are just bad. I only found one good line, but I'm feeling good. Not very nervous. Less nervous than last time.
Oh, in many ways, I mean, having been there and done that before, being familiar with the stakes, I think is a big deal. A lot of the time, performance is more about how you feel on the day as opposed to, you know, how technically proficient or prepared you are. Dreamer, what context do you have to give us about your mind state right now going into this match?
I'm feeling great. I just played football today. I hope it will help me in the match.
Okay.
Just a tiny bit of prep. Opened 5D chess, looked at the board and closed. That will be enough for the match.
Listen to the ambient noises.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds very meditative. I mean, you know, it's important, having played a little football, getting the blood pumping. All right, I mean, we don't have to putz around any longer. I think that we can get into the game if you two are ready. To remind everyone of the format for the 5D Chess World Championship 2023, it's going to be a set of 8 games, 4 of which will be played right now today, 4 of which will be played next week. It is a best of 8. That is unless we don't get around to all 8 games. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be turn 0 medium timer, which is kind of, you know, the default standard competitive format right now. And that's pretty much all there is. Here we are. Oh, I'm so excited. Last year's show was so good. Every single one of the games was so hype. I haven't been as entrenched in the competitive scene as you guys have, or as I was last year, you know, just being busy with like my PhD studies. So what are your guys' thoughts on what we might see out of the opening of this game? What do you guys have to share?
The thing is, both Ryan and Dreamer, you know, they haven't really played for a long time, at least, you know, openly.
So they're as rusty as we are? Is that what you're saying?
I think they might be rusty, yeah, but there's no telling of how rusty, because, you know, they might have, like, you know, different speed of getting rusty, or, you know.
Not rusty enough to not qualify for the finals of the World Chess Championships, apparently.
Yes.
Well, Dreamer got his, you know, spot just because he's the defending champion.
Oh, as the defending champion, Dreamer, I understand. That's how the format is. I definitely knew that.
I think Ryan is kind of less rusty because he went through the bracket.
Okay, that's promising. Knight of 3, Knight of 6, standard fare. What do you have to say, Los?
Oh,
Okay, I actually did a stream a couple days ago talking about possible things that we can see, and I thought that we could be seeing C4 from Ryan.
What is
due to the
since
fact-
when is this a thing? Explain.
So I did a small stream, right, but no one showed up. But
Oh, to clarify for everybody at home, we're watching from Ryan's perspective. He has better internet. So, with the black pieces is currently Ryan. The defending champ Dreamer is currently playing with white, has opted to go Knight of 3, C4. And so is there any established theory here that we should be looking out for, Los? Have you seen or played this before?
yes, I played this a lot, and this is definitely better for black. C6
Better
is really
for
strong
black.
against.
Okay.
Yes. Usually the lines here has to go with the knight going on a6, going then to b4. and that gets really really scary really soon. So when I enter into this type of lines, many times you have to be really careful about b4, and most of the opening of the theory here depends on defending b4 spot, so that you're not able to lose the a2 pawn.
I see. Okay, prediction in the chat, by the way, for anyone who wants to predict who's going to win game 1 here. You said protecting the b4 spot.
Yes. Usually in this type of lines, the knight can get into b4. And it's really dangerous once it gets there, because then what happens is that the knight can enter into c2.
Right. I mean, yeah, that looks disastrous.
The only reason this could work is if you don't go for the f7 sack, which I will say that if we have to understand both Ryan's and Dreamer's playstyle in this case, to understand what we can predict on opening theory.
Right.
I will say that Dreamer tends to be much more solid of a player, and Ryan will play a little bit more aggressive and go for riskier time travels than Dreamer.
Right. I don't know. I've seen Ryan be really skeptical of almost all time travels.
No, right? I think.
No? Well, I guess that's just what I'm playing.
Maybe yours.
Yeah, maybe my time travels.
But Ryan does a lot of creative time travels that started with no check, and then something after a few quiet moves is check, go quiet, quote unquote.
Right. Well, interestingly, it looks like Ryan has moved his B knight in a way that he can't aggress on b4. What do you think about that?
I think that this line is interesting. I guess that he is looking for c5.
I mean, I guess if you play like knight a6 and your opponent just bangs out like a3, then your knight is on the rim for reasons that aren't super obvious.
You can go before anyways, because if they take, you can take the rook.
Take
and the
rook.
Comes
Yeah,
back,
you're right.
and the rook at the back rank is just so annoying. I would
Yeah.
say.
Also, you can go to c5 just like from the d7 square.
That's fair.
Yes. What I will say that I think that the best way we can simplify the playstyles from Ryan and Dreamer is Dreamer will never go for the f7 sack, and if he has the chance to simplify to an endgame, he's going to simplify to an endgame that is going to be winning for him.
It's nice to hear
Ryan,
that hasn't changed.
Yeah. Ryan, on the other hand, is going to try to find something more forcing in order to end the position faster, usually. So if you have both options, that's how you can differentiate who is Dreamer and who is Ryan, if you're seeing just the game itself.
I think probably good words are practical and principled. I think
practical and principled. Interesting.
Yes, I think Dreamer is more practical and Ryan is more principled. Although both of them are practical and principled.
Simon, you just got a rate.
Ryan is also very. He's got a very dogmatic approach. But let me take a second to welcome all of the raiders. Thank you so much, Ben, for the raid. I really appreciate it. We are currently watching the 5D Chess World Championship Finals for 2023. So you've come at an opportune time. We're watching a rematch from last year between Ryan, 4CEO, and Dreamer.
Yeah,
the
match was so good they had to repeat it.
That's right. I mean, it really was. Thank you so much, Raiders. Welcome. I hope you enjoy the show. So what do you think? Okay, if it's kind of clear that Black has a decent game plan coming out of this opening, why do you guys think that Dreamer opted for it right out of the gate?
Surprise.
Surprise? You think that Ryan wasn't ready for this?
I think that Dreamer was not. I don't think I've seen Dreamer playing c4 in a long time. I would say that the last time I would have seen him play c4 was probably like a year and a half at least.
That's fair. Yeah. Although on the other hand, this might be one of those bad moves that Ryan told us he studied for a long time preparing.
I think Dreamer kind of I kind of have a feeling that Dreamer kind of doesn't care at this point of the game.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Uh,
kind of just want to have something somewhat solid and then outplay the opponent.
Okay, so you think he's just sort of throwing stuff at the wall. He's got a lot of games to play with.
Yeah, he also exchanged queens, so now we're technically this could have been a princess game, you know.
Right.
So he's taking it, you know, to his familiar territory.
Dreamer does love getting rid of 5D shenanigans as soon as possible. It's really interesting. He's the both of these players, it's worth saying, are quite good at like regular classical chess. I think they're both FIDE rated.
Yeah,
Like
I don't
over
remember who is
2000.
better actually.
yeah.
Yeah, they both over.
Yeah.
Well, I
We're
don't know
talking
about
about-
FIDE, but you know, online definitely.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah, both pretty
Yeah.
solid. Which the more time goes on, the more that seems to correlate with like earlier on in the 5D chess competitive history, it used to feel like it didn't matter that much. You could just be an amazing 5D chess player without necessarily having like correlating 2D chess skills. There are a lot of people who started playing 5D who didn't play a lot of 2D, like Tesseract or I don't know,
Sirtis.
Sirtis, right? I mean, I'm not great at regular chess compared to how good I used to be at 5D chess. But yeah, nowadays, it just turns out if you're good at chess, it's not that far a leap to get really good at 5D chess. There's a lot of crossover. What do you think about this kingside castle?
I think it makes a lot of sense because in this type of positions, it is really common that you want to go for something like e4 eventually. So being able, because the queen side can get really unsafe, especially because the rook can be developed really fast. It's already developed because of the open file. So
Right.
getting the king out of there as soon as possible usually is good in these sort of positions, in my experience.
And that makes a lot of sense. Whenever you have sort of like an opening on the queen side like this, usually you rely on like the queen to sort of take up space and like patrol the queen side, unless you know, to make it like as an alternative to castling short. Whereas here, that's obviously not an option.
But I'm actually often kind of, you know, I'm always skeptical, you know, about castling because every time I castle, I lose.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see how Dreamer, you know, defends it. You know, if Ryan even going to attack it, which he probably will somehow. So it's going to be instructive already.
I really strongly agree. I always, like, the person who introduced me to the idea that castling was really good in 5D chess was Dreamer, although I've only ever seen him castle queenside
Yeah,
like
so
a ton.
what Lexi says, you know, every time you castle, it's bad. Every time Dreamer castles, it's good.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly right. Yeah, so I am really curious.
Dreamer played against Ryan, so he's kind of...
I just loved Lexi's opinion that said, every time you castle it's bad, every time Dreamer castles is good.
Yeah. I'm glad we're in agreement. This sort of King's Indian style thing. The thing about castling in 5D chess is that you always, it's bad until it's good, and that basically just relies heavily on like context and preparation, right? Ooh, we have a capture on D5.
Releasing attention a little bit.
That's interesting to me because it invites, like, you see how Ryan's bishops are, you know, close to, they're sort of pointing at the castle king's side, ready to be incredibly annoying and like take up a lot of space, but all that it's going to take to do that is like the opening up of the pawn structure. And by releasing the tension in the middle, you're kind of like giving your opponent space to do that more freely. I mean, obviously he can't just take with the e-pawn because, you know, he's got his own king safety to worry about, which I am curious how Ryan is going to prepare to make his light squared bishop useful, like what his approach is going to be to his king safety, because both a queen side and a king side castle look like they'd probably be pretty sketch for him. So I don't know how he's going to go about this.
Well, you know, the thing about 5D chess is you don't always need to develop all your pieces. It's not it's a bad advice, kind of. But but sometimes enough is enough. Sometimes you can just checkmate with 2 pieces or something. So
Yeah. I think here I will probably take with the pawn. Oh,
Which
because-
pawn? I'm assuming the C
with
pawn.
the C pawn. And the reason is because I think that the knight can become a really
I
useful
think
piece.
taking with the knight was kind of has an
Oh.
interesting potential idea, because now at some point, like, this is a very, very far-fetched, but like at some point maybe Ryan can play like rook a4 and then swing his rook to the king side.
Oh,
I
wow.
see.
I don't know.
I mean, hey, that's a great way. Like the rook on a4 isn't doing a lot, or sorry, the rook on a8 isn't doing a lot, right? So that's a good idea. That's how, at least in like this goes all the way back to the early days of 5D chess. In like a lot of Lexi's games that I watched for a while he was at the top of the leaderboard. I saw a lot of sort of like trades here where you half open the file, and Lexi was always really he was always happy to see that, because he went super aggressive with the rook really early and just got it into play and just smashed it into like his opponent's king side, and it was always so effective. I think people are better at dealing with that sort of thing. But wow,
Whoa,
so
okay,
much
Dreamer
aggression
going-
toward the middle.
Dreamer going hamburger. I kind of glanced over this move and I thought it was like, so in white's knight takes d3, and I just like immediately dismissed it. But apparently, Dreamer doesn't care about knight take
But
d3.
wait, even if the knight doesn't take, if the pawn on d5 recaptures on e4, then what do you do? Like, what's the idea of e4 here?
Just opening up the position, like black's king is on the e file, and
Especially,
if you remove, with this pawn from the e file, it's like one less piece on the e file. So, for example, if pawn takes, knight takes, like maybe there is some.
I guess that's actually a really good point, because here like Dreamer has set up his king safety in terms, like this nice sort of King's Indian situation in this corner. So if he basically, he's like, the way that you would push this asymmetry to your advantage is to sort of blow up the position on the rest of the board, to sort of open up your pieces and try to aggress on the fact that your opponent has not set up like a comfortable closed position for his king. So I guess that makes some sense.
Yeah, and Dreamer goes for knight takes d3, which I thought was
Oh,
interesting.
wow.
This
He
one is
can
definitely more
apply
risky.
some pressure to f2. Also, I wanted to remind you of a quote by Ryan, none other than Ryan, that pawns have negative value.
Right.
So from that point of view, Dreamer's play is completely logical.
One of Ryan's famous dogmas is see a free piece, take a free piece, see a free pawn, don't.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting development. I mean, I guess he's relying on the fact that, well, okay, so it's always really annoying and dangerous. Although in this position, there's no other piece really coordinating very much with it, so it's not necessarily the case. But in general, just having a knight anywhere past like the middle 2 ranks toward your opponent's side of the field, it's always like, all it takes is one repositioning of like a friendly piece to make this, give this the potential for, some like dirty time travel tactics. Although it is really difficult to break into the castled sort of structure.
So far, the knight, it doesn't seem to do that much.
Yeah.
Maybe like something like bishop c5, but I don't see a threat there, even though it looks tempting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can't.
Yeah.
If he moves his dark square bishop, if Dreamer does, then that undefends the c2 pawn, and if he doesn't, then the rook on a1 can't develop. So I guess from that perspective, it's annoying, right?
Literally, no one cares about the bishop pawn. I think it's
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
But for example, another thing that can be interesting is, I think that that conceptually speaking, trading that bishop for the knight can be really interesting, because in endgames position, in more endgame-ish positions in 5D chess, bishops get much more value than knights, just because of their mobility that they have. And I think that, for example, maybe if that bishop is out maybe Ryan is going to be able to somehow. It's going to be easier for Ryan to set up a safer position for him, since since Dreamer's pieces have to be closer to the are right now at the castle in order to maintain the king safe.
Oh, and Ryan
Right.
goes for Rook
Oh,
A4.
the Rook
Oh, wow.
A4!
Ryan, you should be ashamed.
Two things. First of all, I think that the bishop versus knight debate is something that, I mean, that's like a tale as old as time in regular chess and also 5D chess. It's highly position dependent, but there's no doubt that the bishop is definitely like more flexible in a 5D chess endgame. But going back to the B2 pawn, I was thinking that it would be potentially helpful to disrupt so that you could swing the rook onto a3 to help break like the king's Indian position. But we see an early a4, rook a4 coming out
there
of
is
Ryan.
Something kind of crystallizing on, f2, maybe e1 squares, but there is still like, more defenders than attackers.
It's a lot of defenders, that's for sure.
Okay, so here's
So
another.
I kind of,
You first, please.
yeah, I kind of almost feel a little bit like there will be a lot of exchanges, and we will go into an endgame, I think. My kind of, unfounded prediction, because it's like I think Ryan will attack and Dreamer will defend, and I kind of feel it can go into an endgame.
Interesting.
All right, so I guess that there's also something else to consider. Moving out the rook like that also means that if Ryan makes a trouble in the future, Dreamer can have a winning time trouble to c8 eventually.
Yeah.
True.
So-
Very good point.
So this can be something that can be really risky, but if he gets the reward, it's going to be really good, because his pieces are going to be more active, but Dreamer is hammering down e6, which is a really crucial spot that to consider, because we have two bishops on Dreamer's side, and the bishops are limits a lot how you can play open files in 5D chess. So I will say that that's something really important to consider, because
I wouldn't be too worried about e6 here, because I don't know, maybe I'm.
well, but for example, like d takes e6, f takes e6, and then something like knight g5 attacking the pawn, and suddenly your pieces are going to be weak, and you have many weaknesses that you can target.
Why wouldn't you take with the bishop?
No, I think.
It was just more than anything an example.
Okay. Nikita says, spoiler, rook g4 and castles. Ah.
Okay, that's funny.
Lexi said white never takes on e6 here 2 seconds before Dreamer submitted the move.
So, the thing about taking on e6, like taking with a pawn looks kind of tempting, because we can then play rook f8 or rook g4 on castles, and like just have our rook on f8, staring down that knight. Exchange the f2 pawn a little bit.
So for anyone tuning in who's less familiar with just sort of some of the principles of 5D chess, if you castle short and your g pawn is undefended, then your opponent can immediately position themselves in such a way that they can time travel with a bishop or a queen to capture the g pawn a few turns before you castled. And your post-castled king in the past, on the original timeline, will be attacked and soft-mated by the bishop traveling onto the undefended g-pawn on the new timelines. So that's the reason that you would do what otherwise looks like a kind of weird play of sort of rook g4 or something like that.
Oh, taking with the bishop again.
Okay, taking with the bishop. As I expected. So now, this is interesting. The middle is really opened up. All of Ryan's pieces almost are useful now. Interesting. Okay, so knight g5.
Okay, this is kind of become in a really concrete position. So I think we kind of, I don't know, hopefully can speed up the conclusion.
I think. Okay, this might be really risky, but I think that it might be possible to short castle soonish. Because the knight is blocking the space.
That's what you think?
Because the knight is blocking the space of the bishop.
Right. But you can eventually just move your G-pawn as Dreamer and time travel with the other bishop, right?
Yeah, the issue that there is right now is that
Oh.
e6 is really weak.
Right.
So if you start
Yeah.
adding pressure
Yeah,
on
and
e6,
also, by the way, Ryan is threatening. Dreamer, I meant, is kind of threatening bishop takes G7, even though, funnily enough, both C8 and A8 are defended, but C8 can be undefended by knight taking.
Sorry, bishop takes. Can you repeat that?
Oh,
Did you say
B7,
bishop takes?
B7.
Okay, B7. Okay. Yes,
I
this
will-
has been undefended now. Yeah, for sure.
I will never learn the coordinates. And
All good.
um,
Oh, we're getting sharp.
and Ryan kind of has a candidate move of bishop c5. But then Dreamer can even just calmly reply, probably with bishop e3, and just continue with his plan.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Interesting. We are
Yeah,
now
I
in a
think-
world where this bishop on c1 hasn't been like traded off for the knight, and so if Ryan elects to do some sort of travel, that bishop capturing the bishop on c8 in the past would win the game, which is something to note. Might not be relevant, but who knows.
I think that something interesting too is that the positioning of the knight is also defending e8, e1. So the rook is not able to get there, and that's probably one of the reasons that Ryan might have a chance to hold this position, just because right now there's no
Oh, there
way
is
to
also
enter
like.
into e1.
Yeah, but what about bishop? Ah, no, yeah, bishop can just move. Okay.
I mean, let's talk about this. Okay, so we've got this. How do you respond here as Ryan? We've got this knight on g5 attacking e6 and f7. Either capture would open up the position and get rid of Ryan's bishop pair. How do you respond as Ryan here?
Okay, so
Maybe rook g4 here, trying to force trades and
Okay.
and prepare for castle.
Yeah.
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Wow, this knight on d3 that didn't seem to be that important earlier in the position. Now the fact that it's preventing Dreamer from developing that rook on e1, like you were saying earlier, Los, that is actually really annoying for Dreamer, huh?
No, but I don't know. I think it's very tricky for Ryan, and actually he is kind of down on time also.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
see.
wow, Ryan down to almost half of the time that Dreamer has.
Because it feels like
Wow,
okay,
okay, we see the castle. Okay,
castles,
Yes,
So
yes. Let's go.
I think
Interesting.
if we remember after the games, we can ask Ryan if he planned for this all along or was it desperation.
Yeah.
But we will probably forget.
Wow. I mean, okay, so it is possible here still for Dreamer to just get his knight in the next 2 turns off of... Actually, the next turn off of g5?
I think he should move it this turn.
Yeah. If he, for example, trades into the bishop like this, now I guess that forces Ryan to play like rook g4 or something, so that there's no pushing the pawn and traveling with the.
But yeah.
Wait.
Oh wait, it already. Yeah, hold on. Bishop g5 already goes to the anti-castle
No,
travel.
no.
No, but it has the
Anti-castle
knight
is-
there defending.
Yeah, no, anti-castle would be on g4.
Okay. Anti-castle would be on g4.
It's on g5, but maybe he just wants a regular travel,
Oh yeah, maybe it's possible that it won't be checking the king, but it'll still be good. So now
Yeah,
he
it will be
can't push
checking
the
the king.
pawn to do the travel with the other bishop, which would have been
Yeah.
on the anti-castle travel square.
The thing is, it is late not because it will not be checking the king. It is late because now the king defends, but the king is not the best defender. Yeah, Mage has done the math and says it's still a soft medium 2.
If you prep for a position, you play every move instantly. This wasn't prep. When I prep for a position, Lexi, I second guess myself in the heat of battle. Still pretty hard for the Dreamer to get the correct travel. B4 wouldn't have worked. Rook takes B4, pins the bishop. B4. Oh, you're right. G4 would not have worked because Rook takes G4 would have pinned the bishop to the king. That's a great point. Yes.
Okay.
Mage asks if this is still soft maiden 2, and I'm not positive that I know where that figure comes from. Okay, yeah, he does the travel.
We will see. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because the knight. Oh. Okay.
Jurassic.
All right.
Okay,
We've got a Jurassic.
I think we should try to pay more attention to the game, because so far chat out commentates us.
You're right. You're very right. Okay. Interesting.
Oh wow.
So what do you think? Is this like, to what extent is this? I mean, so clearly it's kind of desperation, because if the king has to take the bishop, then I don't see how you defend off of the main timeline, right? And so Ryan's only focus here is to, well, either win the game in... It hasn't been that many turns. It's been maybe like 14 turns or something, I think. The game developed pretty quickly. I could be wrong about that number. But
yeah.
so Ryan has to either win or defend to be able to capture the bishop on G7 on 2 timelines over.
Yeah, that's a very handy knight on G8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all he really has to do is defend with keep the knight on G8 and make sure that he doesn't get checked on the wrong turn. What were you about to say, Luz?
Yeah, I think that this is this can be better for Ryan, because being able to have the Jurassic Rook with the time travel can become really strong.
Yeah,
that is something that I learned a lot when playing against Power.
On the main timeline, Dreamer has castle.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. And so on the main timeline, in about maybe 9 turns or something like that, Dreamer's king is going to be on G1, and with 2 timelines to play around with, it's very possible that, especially with this extra rook, Ryan can sort of ram through on the king side and attack the castled king on 0L.
Yeah, in the early days of Ryan, he was often on the receiving end of the Jurassic Rook.
Yes, he was.
And now he's, giving Dreamer some Jurassic treatment of his own.
Oh, how the tables have turned. Ryan did always talk smack on Jurassic Rooks. Granted, that was when I was playing them. He always used to say that it was really easy to defend against.
Also, when I was playing them and was, beating Ryan, it's kind of almost the only way I was, at some points, I couldn't beat Ryan normally any longer, and I had to win him with Jurassic Rooks. Okay.
Right. And having the timeline is also a great point. Go ahead, Lewis.
So Mage also noted here, for example, a difference in playstyle. Ryan will be able to play. Usually, if he has the option to Jurassic like this, he will go for something like this. But Dreamer is more trying to stick to the chess position, and that's why things like this are sometimes not things that Dreamer will consider as much as, for example, someone as Ryan.
Yeah, I somewhat doubt that Ryan kind of saw it all in advance, Maybe it was basically his way to, bail out his position, which I don't think was great. Like if we consider it just on one timeline.
Right.
But maybe he calculated all of this, in which case this is impressive, and Ryan is rightfully competing for the title.
Ryan, Dreamer rather, really taking his time. He wants to make sure that his one job right now is to not lose, and then he wins. His clock is ticking down. He doesn't want to get this defense wrong. And who can blame him? I think that developing the king early makes sense, although there is that triagonal to his king now. But maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know.
By getting wrong, you're kind of saying that he has the defense, which is not completely decided, I think. I think there is a chance that, well, Ryan can at least sort of defend himself. Maybe there is like a forced defense from Softmate at least.
True. We'll see.
Another thing to consider is that if Ryan is not careful and loses the bishop, there might be some time troubles with the knight after playing something like knight e5 and then time travel to e7. Due to that's going to be check, and he has the void to defend himself.
Lexi making a great point that white also has a travel and black has an open king on 0L. The only issue with that is that since Dreamer already has a travel as deep into the future as this game will probably go, there is a big gap that will occur if he travels again between, plus 2L, which is the timeline he would generate if he traveled now, and 0L, which is the main timeline. That means that he can't attack with anything other than a knight. But so that might be difficult to capitalize on.
Sort of a valid point, because on the main timeline, queens come off next move, and here we have still queens on the board, so at some point, maybe queen can do a little jump to G0, and there will be no queen to oppose it, and maybe there will be some checkmating ideas.
True, that's a very good point. Going to instead of attacking the king on 0L, making a new timeline from the 0L board with a white queen on it to take advantage of the openness of the black king, which is something that I think we actually don't see super often, just because games rarely develop like this. Sort of queenless into an endgame, then a reset, and then you have this like duel where the two players have more powerful tools outside of 0L and less open positions than the open position of 0L to sort of target and try to attack. This is actually like a really interesting game where both players sort of have like potential avenues that are different than each other. Really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that here this position might be so I think that the reason that Dreamer went for the queen d3 rather than something like c3 for immediately, I think it's probably because the queen is not able to get right now, and it's also, and the problem that Dreamer can have is if the queen was able to reach to let's say g6, it's going to be a lot easier for Ryan to crush into the where the king is going to move for the castle.
Yeah. Ryan is really, focusing kind of his pieces on the
which is exactly what you have to do in a position like this after a Jurassic, right? We see the queen side.
Yeah, kind of. But he also has to play like a little bit of quote unquote mind games, but not actually mind games, because he has to kind of threaten his threats, but also kind of be ready to defend.
Right. Yeah, it's really easy in a position like this to overextend, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Just
especially in the center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Probably not move the 8-net, but it's also easy to play too passively, to think just okay, and then like your opponent can have a chance to just give a lot of checks, and then you will not be able to have a parallel defense.
Right. Although by doing exactly what Ryan is doing, which is sort of putting the pressure really quickly onto Dreamer's king side, he is making it harder for Dreamer to set up checks that would be immediately winning to prevent Ryan in the future from recapturing the mate threat bishop with the knight on g8. We do see knight c 6 here, threatening a jump onto b4, which would probably be annoying.
Yeah, so Lexi likes queen d3 from Dreamer. And basically he says that it was kind of apparently Dreamer, has sort of the entire setup defensive, like with queen on d3 and knight on d2, like before. So yeah, that queen looks kind of funny, but it's a great defender, which is what Dreamer needs now.
Okay, that makes sense. Hopping the knight over to e7.
Bro, this is like a position that you can spend hours analyzing.
It is. Unfortunately, our players only have 4 minutes left to do just as much analysis. This is every single turn does click, tick the clock down is the thing. This is like sort of a slow, methodical developing position where a lot of sort of tension is emerging. But it's gonna, Ryan just zoomed out and I didn't count, but we have maybe like 7, 8 more turns or something like that before we catch up to Dreamer's travel, right?
So I think in this position it would be interesting to play as Ryan. I'm not sure if that means that.
It's always more interesting to do the attacking, right?
Yeah, but it's Dreamer kind of has done a little bit of attacking in the future, so kind of he attacks by defending.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Our prediction, by the way, chat predicts 75% for Ryan to win. This was a prediction done around turn 4 or 5, I believe. 25% believing in Dreamer, and that was before we had a travel or anything. So very interesting. White playing just so solidly.
Yeah, I don't see a way in.
Defending, I've long said, has been much more difficult than attacking in 5D chess. Dreamer putting that to the test just by jamming every piece on the board around his king as close as possible. And that seems to be doing the trick.
Okay, so let's kind of try to look if Ryan has some plans. So is something like knight f4 a threat? So knight f4.
Knight f4.
Bishop takes, queen takes. Then maybe, no, okay. I thought maybe like take that knight. Oh, okay.
Interesting. Okay. That prevents the knight from hopping into f4, which maybe Dreamer was thinking about himself.
Not entirely, because the pawn is kind of pinned.
Oh yeah,
it is kind of pinned because, for example, knight f4, pawn takes, rook takes,
bishop takes. Oh.
Knight takes, and then bishop.
Doesn't the bishop take the knight first?
No. Knight f4, pawn takes, rook takes, g1 check, knight takes g1, bishop h1 checkmate.
Oh, bishop h1, right? Okay, I understand.
Oh, yeah, I forgot completely about bishop h1.
Right, yeah, because of the king on the on g1 on the upper timeline. I would have lost right there. Andre would have beat me.
Yeah, but for example, f4, the g3 also has the advantage that you are able to develop that light square bishop, which can become really important. For defending.
Okay.
Interesting, because h2 was a critical, potentially, defender of the g3 square. Which is also defended by the rook.
G3 is not as critical as square, because Dreamer has bishop on g2 on the main timeline, so there is no triagonals, diagonals.
Good point. Yeah, with the King's Indian setup, that's fair, yeah. Well, on this board, though, it could be potentially. Although we are quickly catching up to the future.
Seems like probably Ryan is looking on knight f4. Okay. Oh, okay. He goes for.
Wow. I like that a lot.
Spicy.
Yeah, super spicy. Just daring Dreamer to take the free rook so he can open up the file.
This comes directly from Don's Kitchens.
and the other rook is right there to replace it, and on a better file.
Where do you
So-
put the rook if the Dreamer takes the trade, hypothetically?
Well, but like it's even on being like on h8, it's better than the rook before or g4, I think. Just hanging out on the h file, and then attack opponents attacking the knight, and if knight moves, like rook h1 or something like. So
Ouch.
taking the rook is like that would be taking the rook would have negative value.
What do you think about a3 there instead of like swinging the rook over to like d1 or something, getting it closer into the game?
No, like this is very tricky to evaluate, because basically kind of like what all my brain is kind of concentrated on is the recapture of the bishop and attacking the king, and I kind of don't really think right now about the future.
Right.
Which might be bad. Like in a if you were like 5D chess GMs, it's bad. You calculate the way.
I think that here knight e4 looks like an interesting choice. Just trying
let's just
to
say-
simplify some pieces, and have a possible check. Maybe, I mean, you can probably take first the rook, but I think it's all kind of risky.
A lot of Ryan's pieces are pointed toward Dreamer's king side.
Yeah, but actually, when the timeline, when the president catches
Dreamer,
up,
by the way, down to under 1 minute. Ryan now
Oh, yeah.
shooting
Yes.
ahead. He's got 4 minutes on the clock.
the question is, do we have a super dreamer?
Do we have a super Dreamer is the question. Wow, immediately
Okay.
going in on g3.
Okay, I kind of want to at least try to calculate some concrete lines.
Take your time, man.
As opposed to what we are usually doing. Just wait for Mage in chat and Lexi to write everything.
Yeah, right. I mean, it looks like Ryan has successfully defended the bishop on g7, coming up in, what, 3 turns? If he keeps up the
Yeah.
pressure here, then there should be nothing
Like,
that Dreamer
Maybe-
can do about it.
At this point, wow, what?
What is queen f5?
Yeah, this looks crazy, but
What?
it's actually, no, this is
What?
not big. This is.
Oh, the queen is the only thing defending the bishop on e3. So
Yeah.
if takes, then you're threatening mate in 1.
No, if takes, you are just mating in 1 right away.
Wait,
So-
oh, you're so right. If takes, you just immediately have mate in 1. You know what? When you're right, you're right. I thought, why checkmate when you could take your opponent's queen? But that makes very little sense.
You can probably play here. Dreamer can probably play here bishop, bishop g5. I think that it should be I think that Dreamer has enough pieces to defend if they open file.
Bishop g5, so that also it threatens checking Ryan so that he can't recapture the bishop in 2 turns.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. We have bishop f2 instead, and Dreamer, by the way, has 4 minutes
4
on the clock.
seconds.
4 seconds, rather. He's
Yeah.
living off of
Oh,
the
wow.
increment right now.
Okay.
We
this
have
is-
2 more turns until the fatal travel. We've got the E file opened up now, half open anyway. We've got all of Dreamer's pawns. Dreamer rubbing his last 2 central pawns together, trying to defend against the
Ryan,
bishop
looking
in the
at the
future.
travels.
Oh, Ryan looking for a very
no.
interesting travel that's defended by, admittedly, the queen and the bishop in the past.
At this time situation, a lot of travels that don't work will work.
You're right. Dreamer is living off of delay right now. The question is, can Ryan piece together something lethal here? I mean, it's necessary for Dreamer to play something like knight e4 or something soon, right? Because otherwise, Ryan can just bring a bishop onto like e7 and then push the pawn and win.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I was Dreamer, you know, my life expectancy would tick down with the timer.
No, yes. Literal years being taken off of Dreamer's life as the clock counts down. This is going to be a photo finish here. Ryan is locked into a specific move 2 turns from now. So that's something that we have to remember as well. That might give Dreamer just enough time to, if he can do the calculations.
Oh, actually, yeah, I think 94 might be the chance because White will have a check.
So Ryan probably is looking for some.
Yeah, that's true.
So
94 does mean that White has a check. Oh, wait, how do you deal with that actually? If you're Ryan, how do you deal with the check threat?
So Ryan probably looks for some. Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Are we going to have double Jurassic?
Is this a double Jurassic situation? Yes, 94. Oh, Ryan checks himself, which is of course a fantastic way to avoid that, and he survives. So the bishop on g7 captured.
And now he has more time and is,
wait. But we
What's
actually
it gonna be?
The knight can still time travel next turn to g7. And it's check.
Yes, but
That's
Ryan
a good point.
Ryan can check on the top board.
No, but you time travel and the knight is already there.
Okay, taking the rook on on h6.
Ryan
What
probably
are
has to
Ryan's
give-
ideas
I
now?
think that Dreamer wins here. I think that the time travel from plus 1L is just too strong
Time
the
travel
time
from
travel right
plus
now.
1L to where?
to g7.
To g7
it's-
on plus 1L? Ah,
Yes.
so you're right. Yes, because the king down there. Ah, that's a fantastic point.
I think Ryan had to give up his knight for a check probably to avoid this.
Well, Ryan doesn't have a lot of time to figure out how to deal with this knight. Takes has to happen, and then you can recapture with the knight on plus 1L. Although there are a bunch of bishops to deal with the fact that capitalize on the fact that there's an open file for the
I
king.
think No Dreamer just probably wins.
Castle queenside just to get his king out of the way on minus 2L. Or minus 1L, rather.
Yeah, probably Dreamer just wins now.
I think Dreamer just wins here.
With 3 seconds remaining.
Even if he recaptures here with the knight, the bishop is going to replace the knight and checkmate that king on that board.
Yeah, there's so many pieces
And he
over
can't
there.
take it back from here, from his own timeline. I mean, you have to deal with this just to find a legal move, and then you really have to figure out how you can recapture. Wait, the bishop on the bottommost timeline. Oh, but Dreamer has a check, so it doesn't work. Yes, this bishop move here actually works, but he doesn't have Dreamer can check to prevent it from happening. Oh, okay. He takes the knight that has the ability to check and make his life hell. The frames are few and far between. The chess is so intense, it's lagging the capture. We have the capture with the bishop. What can Ryan do? Can he find something? Has he set up any travels? Can he reset with another Jurassic? Hold on. Is there a way that he can make a timeline to attack the king on c1 on the board? He doesn't have a time travel to far enough in the past. Oh my goodness. All right, Ryan with a desperation travel. That does exactly what I said. It checks the king up there, and he still has another travel. Oh my god, can he attack that king again?
Well, different bishop defending, but like there was potential.
Oh, wait.
I don't know what's possible. He's got a minute to figure this out. Dreamer down 1 more second to 3 seconds on his clock alongside the 25-second increment.
Knight is so close to White King.
The knight is very close.
But also so far.
He just doesn't have very many travels to the past. That central timeline is promising, but I don't think it gets him there. If he had maybe like 1 more turn to move into the past, which maybe is what he's trying to buy by making this travel. Although all of the boards that it can travel to seem like they're better defended than the one he's working with right now.
Yeah, I don't
It
see the
seems
way
Ryan's
out.
flagging a little bit right now.
Well, I think flagging is the least of Ryan's concerns.
Exactly. He's
Yeah.
lost on the board above there, right? He just has to find something aggressive to do here.
Yes.
Only way Dreamer losing is getting 2G checkmated now. I don't think I agree with.
Wait, can
Well-
he on the bottommost timeline play knight b2 and then travel to
No, it's off.
c2?
It's off by one.
No, it's off
It's
by
off by
one.
one.
No.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
I'm. That's what-
Ryan submitting his final move 1 second on the clock. Oh no! And then Dreamer can check on the bottommost board.
Yeah, so now the knight goes to the kind of.
He's checking the king on the board above the bottommost board, by the way.
Maybe the
So
bishop.
he can't travel. He can't travel from this board. Well, no, he can travel, but
Oh,
he
he
needs
can-
to not
he can
develop.
move the
Yeah,
king.
he can.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. He can move the king because that's in the present. You're right.
I think Ryan just flipped now. First
Yes.
flip again.
It was too much. It
Oh.
was too much to find in the time scramble. That was so close to there being like a lethal. Oh my god! Wow!
Okay.
Whoa.
What a game one!
So, yeah,
Wow!
I think that I kind of it would have been interesting if Ryan just sacked his knight on the top timeline before Dreamer traveled,
Hmm.
which was what I was looking.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And after that, I didn't calculate because it's too complicated. So.
Wow.
It's so good to. It's so interesting to see knight f3 and c4 actually working. It has been an opening that has been lost
and
a
actually,
little bit
the-
lately.
Line, yeah. I think it's.
And we're back. Mauer, thank you so much for the 5 gift
somebody-
subs. Here we are, game 2 of the 2023 5D Chess World Championship. How's it going? What do you guys?
So this was
feeling?
such a contrast. We were like having nice civilized conversation. It's classy. I have my tea here, and then like you are coming in shouting out of nowhere.
That's how commentary teams work, right? Someone brings the hype, someone brings the analysis. That's like the whole idea.
Look at the line right now. Bishop d7. I haven't
yo,
seen this
what's
played
going
with
on?
black in a long time.
What do you mean long time? Have you seen this before?
Only with white pieces.
Okay.
I think I actually have seen Dreamer playing Bishop d7 at some point. But I don't think in this position, and basically I think it's just him mixing things up.
I mean,
Which
it's
is-
interesting because
Which is interesting because I think mixing things up kind of benefits Ryan in a way.
what makes you say that? That's interesting.
I don't know, just Ryan was. I don't know. Ryan likes to mix things up. Like at some in one game, like against me, like it wasn't a high stakes game,
Mhm.
so probably it's maybe not. Not comparable, but he was playing like G4 for a while as white. Do you remember? I think he played. it against-
Yeah. G4.
Yeah.
So Ryan is quite adventurous. He's trying to find some, especially for white.
Well, looks like Dreamer is trying to rewrite history here, playing some wacky stuff to contrast with Ryan's extremely, tried and true knight f3, d4, c3.
So and now Ryan can just like relax and sit back and enjoy Dreamer mixing things up for him.
As a spectator.
He can
so-
play solidly, and Dreamer has done all the mixing up.
El Timeless Bandito with the Chad pre-moves. So what do you feel about this position, Los? What's your analysis?
So, in my experience, this is basically like playing. I've seen usually this type of structure with white pieces, and the difference is that the tempo can really pay off for black. When you're with white pieces, you can get a little bit more around with that because you have more momentum towards the position. And the reason this is not seen with black pieces, like the d7 structure, c5, is because that momentum is lost when you give up that. So I think that what we are going to probably see is that is more than anything how a position in which is like in which Dreamer is going to be playing in with one less tempo than he would usually be playing if he was playing
Yeah.
these with white pieces.
C takes d4 is a candidate move for sure here, but probably
You probably
just ignoring it. What do
A6
you
can
mean?
also be a move.
What does Mauro mean by Titeran blunder checkmate?
Did you say E6 was also a move?
Yes, A6.
What E6?
For Dreamer.
Just to have the bishop.
Oh, for Dreamer, just to... I understand now. I thought you meant...
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, we're discussing a Dreamer's move.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a
Dreamer
good point.
I was saying that Ryan might have blundered mate in might have not seen mate in 1, and Dreamer had
No.
blundered the mate.
Mauro,
Depending on where the knight was played on c6.
Dreamer played Bishop d7 first, right?
Yeah, bishop d7, and when did he play knight c6?
Oh.
Because queen a4 was mate if
That's
he played
a
immediately.
great point. Yeah.
Wait.
No, it was in...
Yeah,
Okay.
probably it was fine, right?
I think it was something.
That's pretty
Bro-
uncharacteristic of a mistake to make for Dreamer.
No. I think,
Yeah,
no, it's-
I think it was c5 and then knight c6.
yeah, I think like if Bishop was there for 2 turns.
Oh no, yeah, that makes sense. No, it has to be. If it must have been first the pawn because the knight couldn't get there first. If that was the case.
It was
Because of
knight
the
f3,
position
knight
of the-
f6, d4, d5. And then he played the bishop up, and then c5, and then knight?
Oh, bro, it's so embarrassing to comment it because I just don't remember.
Yes.
Alright, well it
was
seems
fine.
like, yeah, nobody's
Okay,
really worried about it.
Mauro is confirming this one. Okay,
So, yeah.
I also like the Andre strategy of pointing out anything questionable that his co-commentator may say that's not in the strictest technical sense pertinent to the position. I think that's a strong commentary Chad play.
what are you talking about? Can you,
c5.
If I'm like talking about the opening or talking about like, oh, which E6? He's keeping me honest, and that I appreciate.
I thought
No, I'm just, it's a banter in between commentators.
Alexi's got a great point. Blundering mate in 1 would be uncharacteristic for the reigning world championship. These are the insights that you can expect from the world championship commentary team here.
I mean, to be fair, the nerves sometimes can kick in, and sometimes you can play the different move order by accident, but I don't think it's
Okay,
going to
so
happen.
Queen. Okay,
Yeah, but
No,
he
I'm-
rattled off the first 5 moves with like no time off of the clock, right? So like he probably did the math ahead of time.
yeah,
What do you think about Queen c8, Andre?
it's
I
interesting.
don't remember seeing that before.
No, I think I've seen it before, but like, it makes sense because where else to defend the queen? Because like the pawn structure is locked on the queen side, so putting it on the dark squares doesn't seem like an option. And as far as light squares go,
But it means you're never gonna play E6 though, right? As Dreamer.
why not?
Oh,
yeah,
Just because it blocks off the diagonal
Yeah.
battery that you just set up.
Yeah, for now, no.
Unless he goes immediately for it to g5. to
Lexi
g4,
says
sorry.
this position looks amazing for white, and also he loves Andre as a commentator because his banter is in the exact same voice as his real comments, which is very true. It gives his comments an air of, genuineness.
Okay, I will have to process that.
It does seem like the position is more flexible for a white, right?
Yes. Usually you play this sort of structure if you want to play something more flexible. because you don't commit c4 immediately, or c3. So when you're playing like the d7, like the Dreamer's type of structure here. But I think that in this case, having that one tempo less definitely makes Dreamer's position much more inflexible in that aspect. I think that here I would probably expect something like Bishop G4 and see if
Bishop F5
something
as
happens.
Nikita suggests. But yeah, basically trading this bishop is probably has to be done.
Sorry, trading the bishop where? Which bishop?
The light colored bishop on
Either on G4 or on F5.
F5. I was kind of looking on G4 for some reason, and not even looking at F5.
What about knight G4?
Oh yeah, and Lexi is asking a good question about this.
I was trying to calculate. And it's possible? But I don't know, like why... How does Ryan apply pressure as a follow-up?
Oh, you don't take. You cannot take with if you played knight takes f7, you cannot really take with the king, because then there's going to be a time travel to f6 check, and then you have also the.
Oh yeah.
And then you also have the queen h5 check, or soft mate at some point.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is a nice pattern.
Right. So like on the turn where black takes the f7 knight, you're saying that like a bishop travel onto the knight would then force the king to be on that square for a turn and remove the defender of the h5 square for the queen to swoop in, which makes a lot of sense. This prevents that travel from happening now though, right?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Right. Ryan saying trade if you want to trade, but I'm just gonna develop my queenside knight here.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
I think neither side wants to take.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But probably why black wants to take more. So I think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. Interestingly, it's possible that that the Dreamer is able to take right now just because the bishop is blocking the queen. So probably he can play Dreamer might be able to play something like knight takes a5 if he wants to play something more aggressive. But I don't, and just trying to get rid of that pressure on f7. I guess that's also another thing that we can probably see is knight g4 or knight e4. I think knight g4 will be stronger just to be able to attack f2 and have more or less the same sort of idea that white is trying to set up on black pieces.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so if you know a little bit about me, you probably know what I'm thinking about.
Knight takes f7.
Which
right?
is knight takes f7?
Well, if black plays bishop takes c2, queen takes c2, there is some real potential for some sort of Tchaikovsky, but it doesn't work yet. So.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But like, I'm way too hyper focused on that.
Oh, you're in good company.
You know what move can be really interesting here too? Queen e6.
Queen e6. I was just about to make the same comment as Lexi, which is that it feels awkward for Dreamer because you can't play e6 here. That's okay. That's interesting. Right, g6 for black, which in a position like this, my mind immediately just goes to, hey, f6 has one fewer defender. So
and H6? No, no, H6 doesn't seem that
H6
relevant.
as well could be relevant in the future.
Actually, for Ryan, what about just like knight f3, knight d f3, and like knight
right.
knight g5?
Not the retreating. Yeah.
Just just
That
put
does
another
feel
knight.
good, doesn't it? Yeah.
The issue that I find in this position with the idea of possibly castling here is the queen.
Okay,
The queen is able
castling.
to develop really fast.
Okay. Yes.
So on the king side.
So I don't know. I would probably just play knight f3 here without much thinking.
I actually really agree. Knight f3 begs to be played. By the way,
Which is again probably why I'm not, in this match. Because
really early on here, we see, by the way, that Dreamer has used up almost half of his time, while Ryan, on the other hand, has used half as much time as Dreamer has.
and Dreamer has started this game pretending to be El Timeless Bandito,
yeah.
but now we know for a fact that
He's been exposed.
he is not the real El Timeless Bandito.
Yeah,
the-
Lexi saying that it's the only sensible structure that Black can go for here because he can't move anything else
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah.
which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that completely, but yeah, this feels bad for Black.
It does feel rough. I mean, it looks like Ryan is highlighting the H4 square.
H4, nice.
Yeah, just immediately, rushing in to try and aggress on the attempted kingside structure that Dreamer may want to
So
build.
here's actually something interesting. I don't know if you remember that that Ryan was really famous on for playing the G3 structure on defended pawn and
Oh
just
yeah,
cast.
yeah, that's
Later he submitted in Lichess how to
yeah.
counter his own opening.
Yes,
And he
yeah,
was
I
saying
remember.
h4 if you try to castle, if you see your opponent trying to castle with g6 structure or g3 structure, just play h4 or h5, and that destroys the structure. Really easy.
Right.
I think okay. I'm not that good at that position.
Ooh, okay.
Changing. Wow. Okay.
Interesting. Exchanging the light squared bishops now.
This is not what I would have thought about. Oh, but this undefended.
Yeah, letting the queen come in.
I completely forgot. I was.
Oh, wait. He might be able to take the knight right now.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the king side. Bro,
So wait, the idea is like knight takes c3 and then what, queen a4?
I think that's the idea.
Okay, interesting.
And queen a4 is really strong because you have to either play queen e6, rook, or
Okay,
he does queen a4
I was about
first.
to suggest, queen a4 first because our knight is like a monster, so no need to exchange it, prematurely.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, spicy. I expected this to develop into, more of like an endgame where we slowly tear open structures.
Yeah, I kind of like this game more than the last one.
I guess
How
that
dare you.
g7 here might be bishop g7 and just castle as soon as possible. Might be something you want.
Bishop
you want
g7
to
is just
consider
take the knight.
Yeah.
But at some point. But I think here
At some
queen
point,
e6 is
Okay.
probably the most sensible move.
Queen e6.
Queen e6, yeah.
Wait, queen e6?
That seems to keep things together for now.
There is a funny thing about queen e6. I think that's where we can kind of count on Ryan to show us if there is something. Because if there is, I think he will play it. I think there might be a trouble
Onto
on the queen
e6 with the knight.
with the knight.
Yeah.
And then, for example, he captures. We can capture the knight because knight no longer defends itself.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
And
Interesting.
it looks strong, and
That's why Lex is suggesting queen c8.
yeah,
Defending the knight, defending the pawn.
queen
and
e6 just
also
like
preventing
I think Dreamer, like even if it doesn't work, Dreamer will not want to calculate. I know that. so I don't think he will play queen c6.
Yeah, that's a good point. Interesting. It does feel a little bad for the queen to, hop onto f5 from c8 just to go back immediately a turn later.
Oh, but Ryan's queen hope to...
It's true. Ryan's queen does get caught out of position as a result.
It's like a queen's dancing back and forth.
Yeah, true.
So Mauer says that the difference between white and black right now is that white could now castle already and just lose a pawn for the very king.
True. Yeah. I mean, again, we're seeing that black's position seems a lot more inflexible than white's.
I think the difference between white and black is that white are better than black right now.
Now, here's the interesting thing that I think.
Queen e6 is played. Interesting.
So,
Well, we're gonna find out if there's a way to punish this real soon.
Yeah, I think if there is a way to punish it, then Ryan will play it.
Wow.
Also, even without the treble, like knight f3 again, threatening knight.
Yeah, knight f3. Well,
Threatening
what if?
g5 with tempo, and like if
And then knight g5.
I was thinking knight g5. Yeah. What about knight g4 for Dreamer to just kick the knight off of e5, like that monster knight? You just replace it, I guess, with as
knight g4. Just we go for knight g5 again. It attacks the queen now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe you can probably go for knight d7 here.
Knight d7.
Knight d7 is still knight g5. I
Still
think
knight g5.
Yeah, but
think
now
German
you have
has
a
to play
little
And then
something
queen f3. Sorry,
Queen
queen
f6.
f6 rather. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we can then just take for free on f7. We can
But
take
the
on f7
reason,
with
and the
defense.
reason,
It's just like I don't know.
Yes, you can take with the knights on e5 and g5. Yeah, you've got both of them attacking f7. This looks rough for black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Dreamer has to play something like h6 here. Just there is no way he can allow the knight on g5.
Knight
If
d7 is insane. All right, thanks. h6 only move. H6 only move to prevent the jump. And there we go. There you have it.
And now I kind of wonder about maybe something like...
h6 knight g6, says Nikita.
Oh yeah,
knight
knight
g6.
knight g6.
I was thinking about knight h4 and then knight from h4 takes g6.
Yeah, knight g6 will be really devastating because you cannot really take the knight. If you take the knight, then there's going to be ideas of time traveling into e6.
Okay, yeah, probably it's right. Yeah, probably it's right.
That's a great right. So the idea is like knight g6, f takes g6, and then knight e5.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no, yeah, it's
And then you have even the checks for the time travel.
Right. Yeah, that's rough, man. Wow. Oh yeah, you could just do like check with the bishop as an intermezzo, and then knight e5, and then travel 2 turns in the past immediate mate.
Even with the queen.
Sorry.
Even
you've got the queen
even
check
knight
too,
f6, knight f7, knight takes f7 wins here, because it's the same idea. You just time travel with it. You just take on f7.
So knight takes g6.
Queen attack. Yeah.
Knight takes g6. Dreamer will have to play rook g8.
Oh, okay, that's a great point. Right. So the idea is that either knight takes f7 or knight takes g6 gets the defender of the e6 square off of the board, like either way. So that makes sense.
I think if that's the case, knight takes f7 will be stronger.
You think so?
Because, yes, because you take immediately directly the defense.
Right, but then the queen is now defending e5. Because like before, if you take on g6, then you're capturing the queen, which is a defender of the position.
No, actually, f7, I think taking on f7 is actually good. Because it takes f7 if queen... no, okay, no.
You attack. I mean, because if that, then you play knight 95 anyways.
I
and-
still think it's good, don't get me wrong, but it feels like takes G6 is maybe better. Although then you remove the defender of, like the queen no longer defends on C6. But no, I don't know. It seems more direct, the knight takes G6 idea, even though it's indirectly.
Knight takes G6, just G8. Let's try.
Because if knight takes G6,
okay, yeah, knight takes G6, rook G8.
yes.
I mean, you could return to E5 after that.
Or you.
Oh, interesting. Opting to attack the B7 pawn.
Yeah, this actually just completely doesn't hurt. Like, I think Dreamer has to react.
What, rook B8? But then
Probably,
it
no,
gets
rook
threatened.
B8. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
rook B8
knight.
That loses though, right? Because then
Yeah,
you
and then-
take on C6 with the knight, and then bishop takes his mate. So never
Yeah,
mind.
this might be just actually another way to win.
Yeah, that looks hard to defend.
Queen C8 might be here an option.
Queen C8 to prevent
Yeah,
what we've
and-
been talking about. Yeah.
If Queen C8, then for sure knight takes F7.
Yeah.
Or anything,
Yeah.
just... Oh no, but then Queen is defending.
Yeah, I disagree because then the queen is defending E6. Oh, the queen is even defending E6 if you trade with the knight on C6. Interesting.
Okay. Knight takes F7. Okay, there might be something funny like Queen C8, Knight takes F7, and if King takes, then like potentially something like Queen takes D5. No, it will not work. Oh no, it might work.
Oh no, because takes with the knight, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
check with the other knight. Oh, but then
Yeah.
the knight.
And then Bishop travel on F7, defended by the knight, and the thing.
Does
It might
that
check the
work?
king.
Maybe.
It might check the king, but I'm not sure.
Damn, dude.
Okay, should I flex my 5D chess muscles? Or should I not? Should I let them rest?
I mean, it's the 5D Chess World Championships, bro. I think the occasion merits a little bit of, critical thinking.
But I'm on a, 5D chess vacation right now, so I'm relaxing.
Wow, amazing.
I thought this would be like a relaxing,
What are your options as Dreamer here? Queen C8 seems the most promising.
Yeah, Queen C8. Okay.
Maybe
my
Bishop
Queen
B7,
Queen
Bishop
C8,
G7.
and then the main thing that seems to do is undefend the F7 pawn, like most.
Yeah, I
realistic.
think you just have to play knight takes F7 there. Otherwise you just...
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Bishop G7 happens. Wow, you just
If you
let the
take,
queen
then your
come in.
castle.
Oh my god. Okay.
And you lose material, but at least you...
At least you don't lose
Can-
immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, don't be sure.
Okay, undoes the move. Ryan is really generally critical of like grubbing kingside pawns or queenside pawns, but I mean the situation
Yeah, right.
black
Probably
is
is
so
looking
cramped.
for something more direct here.
Yeah.
It
Like
looks up-
knight takes c6. You cannot recapture with your pawn because it's shattered. One.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Wait,
actually-
sorry. Knight takes c6. Oh, it is checkmate. So knight takes c6, pawn takes, and then you have bishop b8.
But yeah,
right?
I don't see the situation.
I
So
think
probably
that
yeah.
knight takes G6 was probably also winning because knight takes G6 prevents the castling.
Yeah, but
Then
now-
you
point.
play 95,
Right.
then 95.
Forcing the queen trade.
Oh,
This is
forces
check
the
mate.
queen trade, right. Interesting. Do we think this was the most direct way for Dreamer
Lex
to
is
push
just-
the advantage?
Lexi just says knight takes c6, queen takes c6, you nerds. I'm not sure if I, read this correctly in terms of
I think you got the tone right.
Okay.
This reminds me why this variant is so hard as black. Tough to defend right out of the opening.
I kind of was impersonating Lexi, impersonating us being nerds, but
Interesting. Wow.
I think that here.
I mean, it looks a little rough just being down the full night.
oh, yeah. I think Ryan can lose that for sure.
But at least now Dreamer has a little bit of time to set up something. Maybe at some point he might be able to
Yeah,
set
Dreamer
up a
has
Jurassic.
some time to not lose, and then you can always Jurassic. Ryan opting to
everything
never
gets
castle
fishy.
again. So
Oh,
there's
but
that.
why would you castle?
No, I agree with you, but it's just funny that Dreamer is always going into these castled positions against Ryan's not.
Bro, why can I not beat Dreamer?
I think that probably you can justify. Dreamer might be able to justify down material if he is able to trade the knight for the bishop, because at least in that way he's going to be able to be the only player to set up pressure on open files.
Yeah, I think Lexi really wants to advertise defended pawn, but
The variant of his creation.
he's holding it back.
All right, Dreamer down to a third of the time that Ryan has. Immediate, I mean, as you know, Ryan, a man after Ryan's own heart, challenging the castled king with h4.
So if Ryan wins it, it's going to be back to even.
Yes.
Yes, we are currently 1-0, or I guess we should say 0.50 in favor of Dreamer.
No. It's 1-1. Why would we say it?
I don't know.
I,
man.
that's why I don't know. It's your stream, it's your rules. So.
Do you think that Dreamer is going to play 4? Sorry, 5. Oh, never mind. Not possible
Man,
anymore.
all right, just push all of your pieces toward your opponent's king. It's a good move.
Yeah, I mean it's threatens knight takes f7. Okay, it's getting hard to talk already.
Now
My
there
time
are some
is
troubles
not
to f7.
Yeah, travels to f7, just taking on f7, I think. Yeah, just taking on f7 for sure is a threat.
I mean, yeah, takes on f7. Man, the
And
white
yeah,
bishop
this
really
is
is rough here. I mean, I guess, do
Not
you want your bishop
I think
to...
like either knight d6 or bishop f6 are like the only moves that I.
Yeah, but bishop f6, bishop takes h6.
Oh yeah, okay. So the only move probably is knight d6, and even that is incredible, very sad.
Knight d6 to defend f7. Man, interesting.
You cannot move the rook because knight takes this e7.
Okay, I was just about to suggest rook c8.
Oh, so okay, I see.
Interesting.
This makes a lot of sense. Can
Now there's
they
time
still
travel
play-
to f7, and then just take.
Oh,
on
there's
e6.
travel to f7 in the future, right? Is there
Exactly.
now? Or you mean
Not
to this
now.
board?
Yeah, to
Towards
this board.
this board, it's going to be checkmate.
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
manages.
Because it takes here, and then either king takes, but he can't because it's defended, or you move the king or whatever, and then knight takes the undefended g6. Is just mate. There's nothing that you can do, and so that gives the game in these like mid to late game positions. You always have to look for positions that give you or your opponent a timer, where you have to make or answer certain threats, or otherwise the game ends. Interesting. Kicking the knight, I guess, just
Yeah, buying
bending,
some time.
yeah, buying some time, just counting down the doomsday clock before this bishop travel onto f7 hits the board.
No, I don't think Jurassic threats will work. Okay.
Incoming 25 Jurassic threats. I mean, as Dreamer, you have very little counterplay here. Well, okay, I guess knight f6 is one of the ways that you can prevent the travel, right?
But I think it's too late.
But I
No,
think it turned.
it's not, is it?
I think he's still.
Oh, yeah,
there was another board too that he could time travel to.
Oh,
Before
I
that.
missed that one. I thought that last one
Yeah.
was the main one.
But I forget history immediately when playing chess because I can always look back when I'm playing.
Yeah, I know. That's a
I
great
love-
point. Yeah.
Like looking at this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
knight takes f7.
Yeah, I guess it means that it does work.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
It's a
Shit.
very insightful commentary.
I mean, if Ryan
Oh.
did it, then he probably did the math.
Well, but to be honest, we are saying.
So okay, so I mean, king takes and then knight e5,
Oh.
right? If king moves back, then you have knight
King
takes
takes-
g6.
King takes just loses on the board.
That
Right.
might be just
Now
made
travel,
in,
so
Yeah.
on board.
the only reasonable move is rook takes the other knight. But then probably there is the travel. Okay, and we can see.
That's
Maybe.
brutal.
Okay. related
Yeah,
to the
because
man.
there's also
Okay.
knight takes h7
Right.
if there's
So
no
I
time
mean, I
travel
assume
right
that Ryan anticipated that. Wait, going right back, threatening the maiden one. Oh, king moves up. Okay.
Oh, it's right
Oh,
one.
it's just made on the board. Oh, GG. God damn.
Lexi has the old Discord days.
Wow. Well done. Very clean there, right? The last like 10, 15 moves of that game seemed just pretty crushing from Ryan. You're not giving Dreamer any like tempi to, you know, sort of catch up or stabilize. That was brutal. And well done.
Even
Congrats to
indeed.
Ryan. Okay. I mean,
yeah,
turn
so
0
that-
completely white-sided confirmed. Our score is now 1-1. Dreamer taking the first game. Ryan answering back.
Actually, what I
So, this is
So,
actually
you know-
going to be. Oh, you first, please.
Yeah. So I just want to try to recap the game quickly. So Dreamer started to mix things up, and Ryan was just playing normal moves because he wanted to mix things up himself. But because Dreamer is already mixing things up, he can just play the most solid moves, and he ended up with a better position and just converted.
But forget that. Okay, we've got another C4 game. Game 3 of the 2023 5D Chess World Championship is underway, and we're seeing it develop identically to the first game that really worked out for Dreamer. I mean, I guess his train of thought is that if it isn't broke, there isn't any reason to fix it. So how do you guys think we might see a divergence from the previous game?
Dreamer always does some small adjustments to his move order, or some once if he plays again. So something I think that can happen is, for example, instead of probably playing D3 right now or A3, we might be able to see something. We might be able to see, for example, the different move order, allowing different flexibility. Things like that are what makes Dreamer really interesting when you see him playing the same position, the first couple moves of the opening the same way.
Right.
Yep. Now before the game really picks up, Levon is saying, I find it low-key amazing how the game code has been on stream for several minutes and no one, there's no troll who took it.
That's true, but I guess that demonstrates like the maturity of our scene, right?
Yeah, and out of context, speaking about maturity, his very next message is anal
Anal
beat.
beats. Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, is this exactly how we saw? I forget whether Ryan played D6 immediately after the first game got started. Do you guys remember?
I think he didn't play it immediately. Oh,
I don't remember this Tetris.
Oh
piece.
wow. Okay, the counter G6 is really interesting. Oh, okay, so we get like a double King's Indian as opposed to what we saw last game, which was very much not this. We saw
Okay,
an
this-
early E6 instead. Wow, an immediate castle. Huh.
This looks promising.
Promising in what sense?
I think that we
Okay.
saw last game we saw D5
Okay.
instead
Ooh,
of D6.
considering immediate counter castle.
Like if black castles, I think this is crazy.
This is the first game in the history of 5D chess to have
Where
developed like
most
this.
players, it's
Wow!
crazy to even notice that. I never even noticed how rare it is, and until I saw it right now, it just burns my eyes.
This is crazy. Yeah, it's so cursed looking from like if you're used to looking at 5D chess, right? Wow,
Okay.
such early short castles for both players. Oh my god. The half
think
open
here-
file here, I think, is actually gonna really probably help out black, no?
Yeah, I
I
really
think
like.
that here it would have been better for Ryan to go for h5 immediately,
Yeah, but
just
you know,
because
he
just
tried it
because
last game.
his structure is really good.
Yeah, it's one of the two things that you can do, right? Then again, I guess that lets like immediate h5, and then maybe you can just park your like g5 opens up as a as an outpost for the knight, right?
So I think I would have personally went for the gaze if it surprises anyone, but I would have probably tried to attack anyway.
Huh.
have counter castled like that. Well, this is exciting.
Opening the eyes of the bishop makes a lot of sense. Trying to get your
And I
pieces
like
in.
So
D4.
what's the plan here? It's like a very symmetrical position. It's for me personally, it's incredibly hard to find some.
Yeah,
good
I
plans
always
and
talk about
positions.
how hard it is. Yeah, exactly. For me to, in a stable mid-game position like this, to just decide what you're going for, right?
Yes, the trick is you don't. You just develop your pieces if you don't see.
I completely agree. I think that that's really sensible. Lexi says that he would take this position every time as black, and I kind of agree
Yeah, I guess
with him.
yeah, because of the rook. And
Yeah.
Not only the rook, but the pawn structure is really difficult to crush in on the queen side.
But is queen side, queen's pawn structure that relevant?
On the queen side, it is really difficult to enter because
But
having all those pawns
why would you want
See-
to enter there?
in heavy chess matters a lot.
Here, yeah, so B3 is kind of forced, but I have failed to see how exactly. Okay, so wow, immediately.
Lexi elaborates and says because you are black and not immediately in trouble. But I think, honestly, it's even better for black.
I guess
but
that's
it's
true.
hard to come up with the. Well, but not that hard.
So where are you trying to go with your rook
I think
right now?
I mean,
F5?
it might look dumb by 2D chess sort of intuition, but what if I would just h5? And what's I going to
Immediate H5?
Rook h5. Rook h5.
Oh, I'm with you. Yes, yes. Okay. Huh. Okay.
I was just like, maybe even some like bishop h3.
I guess that here a move
Yeah.
for white might be sacrificing a pawn, playing
Yeah,
c5,
just to block
and
things
just
up.
and try to avoid completely and locking the rook on the queen side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Black thinks it's still better for white.
E4 for the boys.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of the word space advantage in 5D chess, but
Bishop E7. King E7, Knight D5.
I think he's replying to Romat.
Oh, I see. Okay, right. Romad's saying, I don't know, E5 is covered and you can easily cover the E file with Bishop E6 after King takes E7.
They're talking about some.
Some lines that yeah,
They're deep in the.
they're too deep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Analyze less deep if you want us to participate.
It's interesting because there's such little sort of like well-established 5D chess intuition, I feel, for a board state like this, just because everything is sort of so closed and there aren't a lot of immediate avenues for like 5D attack. And so it becomes now, you become more reliant on like your understanding of how to develop like a 2D chess position that looks like this, except for maybe the fact that rook a5 is like already happened, but I don't know, who knows.
Yeah, what I really like about 5D chess is kind of that it's and about chess itself is that there is like sometimes you cannot rely on calculation, but you also cannot rely on intuition. It's like you have to rely on some sort of weird, like logical almost
Right.
thinking, which is really cool. And in 2D chess is kind of what I'm kind of missing in 2D chess. Like that was what attracted me to 2D chess. And
Oh, Tones is here.
Tones is here in response to Levon's E4, B4 winning on the spot for Dreamer with no, black has bishop takes C4 preventing the connect 4, which is well spotted, Tones.
Oh, E4! He plays E4.
Oh, he plays
E4
for the boys! Oh my goodness! Threatening connect 4. Wow,
And
VTC
Ryan
just
plays-
immediately rips off.
H5 for
Holy, okay. Wow, okay, hold on. What is happening?
Can
Dreamer
Ryan
doesn't
sack
care.
rook on H2?
Yeah, Dreamer really doesn't care. So
But
now
I think
what the idea is like bishop H3, right?
Bishop H3, then I think maybe like even Bishop H1. What?
Oh yeah, bishop H1. What? And then, I mean, you can take the rook, but do you think that's irrelevant
No,
in this
no,
position?
no. No, taking the rook looks like not a move. But also, I don't think there doesn't seem to be continuation.
Yeah, but you've got your bishop on H3 there, so like,
Yeah. That's how I lose a lot of time. Like, but I've got my bishop on H3.
yeah.
He's just
Yeah, but
checkmate.
you know, like you've got your bishop on H3, you've got your, you know, your knight on G4. Like it looks really good. Space advantage is it real, Andre?
This is like Napoleon in Moscow. Sorry. Weird historical.
Bishop H3 at least threatens bishop takes G2, knight G4. I guess that's true. Literally everything is protected for white, and he has a perfect pawn structure. He does have the perfect pawn structure with B4 at will. Okay, right. Bringing the knight into the game.
Yeah.
I guess that makes
Bishop
sense.
H3 probably is premature because it doesn't lead anything.
Oh,
It's better.
you
Knight
know what might
BD7 so
happen right
calm.
now?
Yeah.
Bishop G4 attacking the knight. And now the idea is that after you trade the knight, you are able to sack on H2.
Okay.
So
Maybe,
guess
yeah.
that-
Without the knight there defending, you could see like a bishop travel onto that square or whatever that's attacked by the rook in the past. And then the king is kind of smothered.
And even if you take, and it is not easy to take, because then you just place the bishop anyways, and you have to play bishop H3.
Yeah, that's an idea.
So I guess that
Thank you so much for the follow, Vetrus. I appreciate it.
Yes, I think Alexian is really on the Dreamers. That makes me want Ryan to win. Because I still have like the thing about Lexi, he's probably like the most influential. Lexi, don't be too flattered, but he's probably the most influential player on me because I've always wanted to beat him.
I guess that knight H4 might be an option here. After the bishop plays, after
bishop G4, knight H4.
And like Lexi.
maybe.
Okay.
Oh, go on, please.
No. I was being distracted.
Yeah. So, for example, here, something that maybe can happen might be something like d5, and bishop g4, or bishop h3. But if bishop g4, then you just play knight to h4 as dreamer.
What about like bishop g4?
No,
and
bishop
then,
g4, knight to h4, rook probably can take, right?
well, or what? Even if not, what about like bishop g4, knight h4, and then like e5?
Yeah. Another thing, maybe. Yeah, probably. Maybe h4 directly.
Yeah, h4.
Oh, h4 straight up.
But h4 is kind of a concession often.
Yeah.
Or
It's
h6.
spooky.
Actually, no, h3. Actually,
Right,
h3 might be interesting.
No, h3,
H3.
we can probably take with the rook.
Oh no, never mind. I'm just blundering upon.
Well, yeah. Take with the right, because of course.
Then if bishop takes, and there is some, very.
Yeah, I mean, then you're probably screwed.
things to defend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yes, screwed because there is probably. Oh, like you're threatening bishop g2, knight g4, and also threatening some travels.
Maybe we can even see e5.
Yeah, Dreamer, after confidently playing e4, bishop f4, now is really taking his time here, deciding how he wants to batten down his structure.
Okay, so Nikita says h4, h6. If that happens,
So, well, Ryan,
there can be-
sorry. To start with, Lexi claims, I think white just goes h4, and I don't see what black has. Nikita answering, h4, h6, knight g4, f6, knight g4 into f6 into g5. Okay, so you're just saying push all the pawns.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting.
A
Oh,
very
okay.
2D chess kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if you have the pawns on the center, you better use them to break out that position, because
Yeah, here it's very tempting to play knight g4.
Wow, and there we go. I would have been concerned about h4 for white just because then there's absolutely no way you can possibly contest g4, right?
Okay, but I don't even think we're super
yeah, but you don't
threatening.
really want to move the pawn either. That was. It will be more if you play h4. You can probably even lock the rook.
I mean, you're threatening what? Like if you're threatening now as black, just taking the h2 pawn with the knight, and then if knight takes, rook takes, right?
I mean, like there is f2 that's also squishy now. And
f2 seems harder to follow up on, but
for now, yes, but I don't know. Maybe even like something like c5 can be a threat.
and all of the pieces
Yeah,
are so they're coordinating really well for both players.
So c5 for black.
c5, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to sort of open up the long diagonal for the Fianchetto bishop.
Yeah, and possibly somehow put the bishop on d4 one day, and I don't know, maybe make it help in the attack on f2. But that's very sort of cerebral sort of thinking.
Very cerebral thinking.
I don't even know what it means. I made a guess. I gambled. That's how I speak English.
Wow, Dreamer down to half as much time as Ryan has.
Yeah.
He's on the back foot, but I mean, I guess you really don't want to leave yourself in a risky position in the game where you're playing white, but you also have to consider that you're probably going to need a lot of that time for the rest of the game, right?
Samet, remember those words.
I mean, my grandfather always said that.
You know,
H4. I'm so tempted in H4. I will be so tempted in playing H4 here just to start taking out pressure on H2.
H4, I completely agree. Wow, H3 it looks like is the
H3
answer. Interesting. Okay.
I think that he's probably playing move order. First H3 and then H4.
okay.
Just to kick the
There
knight
are
right now?
there are some interesting things.
Is that so?
What if rook takes h3, bishop takes h3, knight takes f2?
Just throwing all of your pieces away.
No, but like, and then if we are threatening to travel?
Okay, we see the knight retreat. The knight is a little cramped. Wow, and okay, there you go.
and
Los
now
is right. Kick
H4.
the knight first, and then H4. But why wouldn't you probably just replace your knight onto G4 to give it back the outpost? Like, what's so bad about
but
that?
this gives you a tempo. This gives you a tempo.
Yeah, just a
And the
tempo.
tempo can be utilized for the attack.
But
True, that's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like long term g3 might become weak.
All right. Yeah. There we go. No, just knight hops right back into G4.
Like
Now,
if we
The question
if
is how
we
you break
just
in a fight.
Crafty.
Because now
crafty
you
by
have-
Kramer.
Yeah.
okay, I love this game. I approve of the game.
Do you
This
think
is
that we are
awesome.
going to see E5 at some point? Or like E5 or D5?
I think we will have to see e5
Yeah.
because my reasoning is, which might be wrong, is that at some point black will want to put their other knight on f6. Sort of a plan for black is probably somehow maybe kick the bishop.
Ooh. Okay. Rook D1.
And then sort of propagate the knight forward. I don't know. Okay.
I mean, that makes sense. Look at that dominant, like, center
It
control.
might be far-fetched.
I think E5 is just too defended right now. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces defending right now.
Oh
E5.
yeah.
So I guess
And
that
it has
E5
1, 2,
is
3,
like-
4 pieces attacking.
So I guess that that it's more probable that we see probably D4 at some point. And I think that
But
maybe
d4 doesn't
it's
seem
wrong.
to achieve that much. Oh no.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe you're able to get around. Like you play D5, bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop.
I was thinking
Yes,
about
I'm really
like
tempting
E2
by-
here or rook E2 here to just stack the rooks on the E file.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about black probably. I think.
Hmm.
I'm kind of looking from the black perspective. I really like black's position, sort of. In a way, but in a way I don't like it. I kind of feel like there might be something here, black, some attack. But if there isn't, then they're probably worse.
Protect white knight was better because white threatens D5 maybe? Lexi agrees with Nikita. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you basically can trap the bishop
Yeah.
because D5
but
traps the bishop.
probably. Oh, okay. Ryan probably. Oh.
F6 briefly
feels-
flashed on the board.
Kind of.
It's interesting if
And prevents the
it also
knight
allows.
from hopping in, prevents E5 from being an
Yeah.
issue.
I guess that's the reason. But then, that
Yeah,
means
maybe
also can now
some-
I mean,
play
I guess you're
F6.
happy. You're also happy to open up the F file, right?
What if he plans
but I
for
guess
some G4 ideas here?
G4 ideas. Well, how do you
G5,
mean?
G5, G5,
Oh,
G5,
G5. I'm with you.
Sorry.
maybe
The
D5 here.
quickest retcon of all time. F6 is desperation, and I know this because I play this as black all the times. Insight from Lexi. I see.
Like, you shouldn't judge people by by yourself.
I guess that we're going to see D5 here.
It's got to be said. I thought. Well, no. Okay.
Oh,
when we
Kemez-
saw the
Kemez
early castle,
tries
we
for
should have
his
expected this
bishop.
grindy game. Yeah, he is making space to retreat the bishop. That's true. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because that's the. See, in a position like this, where you have to choose, where you don't have enough space. Wow. Okay.
What is bishop
H3 coming?
Oh, it's training D5.
Oh,
Oh,
because
D5 undefended. The knight is pinned. Right.
Yes.
Interesting.
What about King H8?
What about King H8?
King H8 threatening something like knight takes f2 because now it's impossible because bishop with check.
Wow. Okay, we're seeing moves blitzed out right now. G5 responded to with D5. Threatened. The bishops are being threatened.
This is crazy.
This is how can you? Why are these not the moves that you think? I guess these were the moves that they were thinking about in the previous turns,
And
right?
that we were not thinking.
And that we weren't thinking about. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there.
Holy, okay. The
And I
bishop
guess that we're
traits
going
have
to see
happened.
Rook D5 turn. Oh, no, not Rook D5. I forgot about C6.
Bro, I really like Ryan's position. I don't see.
I was thinking the same thing. You're not getting a lot of although okay, now both
maybe
the
not.
knight is threatened and undefended,
Yeah, knight-
and the other knight is
is
also threatened. Now,
Yeah, knight is
yeah,
fine.
this is the one thing you can do to defend both of the
The
knights.
dreamer can probably take with his knight and then.
Yeah, but then you
No.
take back, and then this bishop doesn't actually see anything, and you don't have
Yeah, if you,
knights in position
if
to
you
take
take
advantage
back,
of the outposts.
I think it's time to think more concretely here, like positional. Positional stuff is kind of.
Rapid development of the position, and there's still this tension, by the way, of the f4 pawn on the g3 pawn.
Lexi.
And I think that's going to play crucial in the next turns because if you take on G3, you cannot really take because then there are time travels to G3, and if you don't take and you just allow takes on F2 and good luck with the open file with the bishop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like what white did here, says
Yeah,
Lexi. I agree with you.
I would agree. Yeah, but honestly, it all happened so fast. I don't even.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah.
What exactly happened?
I think knight takes f2 is even better for black. Lexi says knight takes f2. Narik says I keep taking with the pawn, sort of blasting open the g file.
Yeah, here I don't see a move for white even. Like knight takes, then knight takes versus threatening knight f3. How do we defend? We cannot play.
Oh,
Rook
great
d3.
point. Yeah.
We cannot play rook e3.
You're already threatening knight takes f3.
Yeah, here of course.
Yeah, and that's
Like-
already hard to deal with. And your pawn is still, yeah, man. Okay, interesting.
Probably just bishop back. But then maybe knight back to
Bishop back seems sensible, but then why was the bishop there in the first place? It was right. It was threatening the. It was like kind of pinning the knight. It was threatening the bishop behind it, but without it, there's also now there are like travels potentially where. Oh, actually, okay. With the knight off of f3, you've got like rook takes on h4 ideas. Since the bishop isn't on g2.
Yeah, there is a lot of ideas.
There are a lot of ideas.
Let's
I
see.
think that there might be that knight takes e5 might be an interesting way to play for Dreamer.
Knight
Well,
takes
it's
e5,
like
which
almost-
seems to be
like
exactly
almost
what
all of them. But now
played. How do
Here,
you deal
probably
with
the only
this?
move is like bishop g2 here.
Bishop, yeah, you're right. Bishop g2 seems
Yeah, that was
like
that
all
was
you
line.
can do. But then, I mean, okay. Well,
Oh.
okay. I guess bishop g2 f3, and then the bishop goes back, and then you
Nikita
don't have anything to
suggests
do.
Oh, maybe you
King
can.
h1.
King h1.
But
I
that
think
looks.
that the king h1 wouldn't be that bad here.
Knight f3,
That's it,
rook
yeah.
g. Oh, knight f3, rook g1 to deal with the. I understand. Okay, right. So
Oh, but
basically
there's an issue
weaponizing the
with
open
the
g file
H1.
yourself.
Okay, so Dreamer plays my move.
Right now.
Okay, I'm starting to somewhat predict the moves, which is comforting.
I'm glad you feel confident, Andre.
Knight g4 and
By the way, f3 here.
f3 feels like it kind of takes. We take away an f3 square from the knight.
Yeah, I agree. It also means that Dreamer's knight can't move, which maybe isn't such a big deal.
No.
I think that that I will probably maintain the. If I was playing this position, I would probably maintain the pressure.
What do you think about King h8? For
King
rook
h8.
King h8.
Yeah, looks fun. Looks fun, but kind of slow. Maybe I don't know.
And what can you do faster? Are you thinking of like
I'm thinking
Probably
knight
taking.
pawn
g4.
takes? Yeah.
I'm thinking
I
knight.
mean, you're going to create a weakness with that you can time travel, and the bishop
Oh
is
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
defending
Maybe
the.
pawn takes first. Yeah.
Oh, pawn takes, and then you have like knight g4,
Yeah,
and then
that's-
takes 2 turns in the past.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh.
King h8, I win. f3 seems to slow the game down. I agree with you. f3, rook
I
h4.
think that likes f3. And he's higher rated than me.
Pawn takes might be
And
interesting.
he is not my opponent, so I shouldn't assume he's trash.
I
All
think
right.
that here, knight to d2 might be an interesting, solid idea. Defending the pawn and attacking the pawn, and if you defend,
So what-
that, you might have a better chance.
What I was thinking is probably a bit weird, but I was thinking knight g4, and then playing f3 to displace the bishop, and then we'll be traveling to g2, but probably it's...
Oh, I don't know. I saw that earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe it works.
Oh, yeah, probably just taking
Is it cap
first.
self-capture?
Taken first.
f3
Let's-
here to prepare rook takes h4 is a pretty good idea, huh? I saw that from Nikita earlier.
F3 might also have the. It might be interesting in the aspect that if Ryan decides to take on g3, then he can use the pawn as an umbrella.
Oh,
Ooh, I like f3 here.
I don't.
You don't?
Or maybe I do. I don't know. I don't like anything here.
I like f3 because, well, yeah, that's true.
Well-
I mean, okay, so we've been talking a lot about attacking ideas. Let's actually take a moment, now that it's no longer White's turn, to think about how...
Yeah, I think here we just take this pawn. Yeah. So now
Think
we are,
so?
our pawn kind of defends white, but we also then will take.
Well, yeah, but that's what I was thinking, right? The
H4?
only reason you would allow this as Dreamer is just because you feel like you've got better chances hiding behind the pawn than trying to defend g3 in
Yeah,
the first
but-
place. Although the question is, what do you do about h4? You just give it away for free?
Nothing.
That seems obviously bad.
It
Probably
feels
you can
like
play here f4 actually.
f4.
f4.
F4. Just play knight g4.
And then just start bringing the rook into like
Ah,
something
I
like
see.
rook d3 and if you
Dude, but
manage to enter
F4
into
giving-
the open file.
Giving black knight g4 when you've got the pawn on g3 just seems insane.
I think we
But
can
we can
take, and
see
I
a
think,
sacrifice here. I think that we can even see knight takes f3, because then you can just have to push the pawn and you're going to face.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Black's winning. I don't think White like can take. Oh, he takes on G3. I
So
think.
after taking on G3, yeah, do you is there some crazy
It's not that crazy. It's
um
not just.
If White manages to take out the bishop,
let's see.
it's
Yes.
definitely more possible to survive.
Boom takes. How do you follow up here as black?
Well, the sort of the slow plan is like Rook G8, Bishop G6.
Right. What are the fast plans?
Oh, what about
I'm not
knight
sure
takes
we need
f3?
fast plans here because White doesn't have.
I guess that's a
that.
good point. White isn't applying much pressure of their own, so yeah.
Maybe you can go for knight takes f3. If the bishop takes, you play rook h3.
Well, maybe White does have a bit of a threat with Knight F5.
Okay,
no,
yeah, no, we see the slow and steady. By the way, let's look at the clock really quickly. Dreamer with 30 seconds fewer than on the clock.
okay.
Ryan still has
is
half
like-
of his time remaining.
Yeah. You know what? For some reason, this might be weird. I always want to know like the ratio, and I'm too lazy to continue.
Lexi says that
The
maybe we
smothered
can
mate?
see some smothered mate. If we say if Dreamer plays
Wait,
Okay.
yeah,
the
hold
knight
on.
to f5,
The Knight
Yeah,
defends.
travel on to F7 is smothered, mate.
Yeah, but the Knight is defending for now.
Yeah, the knight's defending for now.
This might be another thing that we could ask players if we manage to remember that, but probably we will not.
All right, getting the king out. Listen, moving the king up is always kind of spooky for potential like Tchaikovsky reasons, but it looks like the F3 pawn is somewhat well defended.
oh, 2 seconds.
Oh my god, 1 second on the clock. He only has the 5 seconds of delay to play off
No,
of.
yeah,
Oh, I mean,
he won't really need them, I think.
yeah,
Oh,
here, yeah, you
that's-
lose the rook, but then it takes. How do you get the mate?
Probably
Because
just
the
take
bishop
the
still defends the F3 pawn. Oh, you lose the knight, right?
Take the Knight. If Rook takes H4, Rook takes F3 is going to be checkmate,
Yes,
Well,
you're right.
and otherwise it's so Rook takes G3.
Oh, that's dude. Oh, wow. Okay, pretty well done. I thought it was clumsy by Ryan, but yeah, there we go. I was completely wrong. He just smashed it. Yeah, there we go. Exactly as Andre
Yes,
played out.
I'm predicting moves. Yes, I know not listening.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Dreamer flags.
flag.
Wow, the third
Oh.
game of the series going to Ryan. Dreamer losing with the
But-
white opening that gave him success in the first game. A really exciting, really interesting double
Yeah.
kingside castle game.
I'm going to be back. You can ask Lost about theory.
Sounds good. I mean,
Mate,
congrats to Ryan. What?
That is like
Here we go. Game 4. Last game of the day going into the 5D Chess World Championship. I'm very curious to see whether or not Ryan chooses this moment to break out his super secret preparation. So far, knight F3.
I have that game on Ryan, by the way.
All right. Wow. You know what? I'll put my 10K on Dreamer. I'll keep it interesting.
What do you mean? It's over already.
Incredibly
entered.
standard. Oh, here we go. Okay, we've got the 5D London. Both of our players are
What
slow.
the
Oh
hell
my
is
god,
it?
E4! What is happening? This can't be real.
Okay, don't out confirm.
This can't
Is
be
this-
real.
Don't out
is this
confirm.
Stones?
Is this Tones?
Is this Stones just joining the game?
We were just joking that Tones is actually Orion alt.
So is it the good lines that Ryan was talking about, or is it one of the bad ones?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
good question. Lexi
So-
saying, hey, this looks like a position I had week 1 of the game being out. Is
Okay.
Ryan
Well,
throwing? I
actually-
doubt it. Okay, Los here. I'd like to hear from Los what he's got to say about E4. By the way, Dreamer being
Okay.
stun locked by this move.
I was
Okay,
about
so
to say
Actually, I remember saying when we were when we were writing at some point the opening theory with Sudo. Sudo was suggesting that E4 might be a move, and he was like, a move on this sort of positions. But after bishop f4 or bishop g5, it's actually really funny to think that now it is back here, and now we are going to see if e4 is actually going to be part
We've come full circle. That's exactly right. We're going to see whether or not in the hands of the world chess champion candidates for 5D chess, e4 is going to prevail or be refuted. Either result is huge for me, because if Dreamer manages to like push through, then we're gonna think, what the hell was Ryan thinking? But if it works, absolutely cataclysmic for 5D chess theory.
I'm terribly sorry, but can we do some commentating? Actually, okay.
Oh my god, it's just straight into e5.
Oh, wait a second. I think that what Ryan's doing is trying to do some transposition into Tone's theory. Then this is
okay,
fine.
so we were talking about history when we could have, like, you know, it was actually a fun position to analyze. Like, what if knight takes? What if pawn takes? Like, but yeah.
Knight takes
So
is a
let's
great
just
point.
go-
I really wonder what knight takes, and then
No, knight takes kind of makes the f7 pawn.
yeah, that's
I think
true.
if knight takes, just Ryan would have played bishop e3, defending the f2, and later would have, you know,
Oh, bishop e3, you think? Okay.
yeah. Just as it's
Bishop
both
d3 is
goes
not what
equal.
you want to play usually.
That seems
that's
so
how we
stuffed.
used
What
to
the
play.
fuck? Okay,
What is happening?
this looks like Crazy House theory, actually. There is actually a line where Crazy House was
Ryan's
like,
still in prep, but not after e6. Can you... Okay, what is... Oh, I guess maybe the idea here is simply... If you take the knight, then the queen takes on f6, and then you're looking for... first of all, yeah, you can mate the king through like the open e file, but on top of that, you've got your bishop on g4 that can just take the f3 knight, and then your queen goes to h4 and wins that way. So...
Okay, yeah. Knight g4. Okay, it's knight g4.
Okay.
It's happening very fast, so we should be.
Wow, okay, pinning the knight.
Maybe it's the oh wow.
So again, you know, white is not in a hurry to take that knight. Okay. Funnily enough, it's super like resembles some.
How do you... Oh my god, so quickly! Okay, answering back with the bishop.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
a lot of sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I guess that after this we can see we can probably find something like knight to e4. And I think this move makes a lot of sense, just trading bishop and starting to create some pressure on f2.
But that looks better for black. Like, assuming that there's nothing sort of explosive that results from this, like white, I mean, he's got space, but also where do you put your king as white if black doesn't scramble and instead like solidifies his position, right?
Yeah, but it's not that simple because then what happens is white might be overextended in some positions.
Right.
What we can say is that Ryan just won the Connect 4.
You
now
put
that I
your
think
king
about it.
back in the box after getting checkmated. I see. That's where you put your
Maur's
king.
suggesting h4 right now.
H4 right now. Okay, that makes sense. Potentially, you don't want to like activate the rest of your pieces.
No,
I was thinking about h3 actually.
h4 makes sense in the aspect that after you move the knight as black, then the bishop is not going to have anywhere to go. It's going to be all of the places where the bishop can go is defended by a pawn.
Oh, I guess that's a good point. And I mean, think about, yeah, like if knight e4, then you still have... Okay, I was thinking of just developing the bishop to d3, but I thought that meant that it was a bad move.
Yeah. We should analyze more lines. You should have just said it.
Yeah, I really should have. I mean, I guess this is a response to that way. If no, because that doesn't.
Yeah,
I was thinking that it would be like if knight e4, then you can like take it with the bishop, but obviously that doesn't work because pawn takes and then your knight is screwed because it's pinned with the bishop. And so you lose the piece. I don't know if knight e4 here from black, is that so bad? What do you do?
Do you? Oh. I guess that here knight e4 makes sense. But
yeah.
Because knight e4 and then you force because if white doesn't defend f2, then you know you have, like we said before with the knight on e4, then if you sort of take the knight and then after take back you take the bishop or something, and then you've got queen h4 gives you like a mating travel or whatever. But maybe it takes too many turns to set up now that the bishop is on g5 and you have to get through that piece first.
But if you play knight e4, if they take the knight, then you have a pawn attacking the. You should be able to win that knight.
Yeah, but why would they take the knight on e4? That's why I'm saying knight e4 is good for black. What else are you going to play except knight e4?
And if that's not played, probably what you have to do is you have to move the bishop.
Right.
So,
right.
And the reason you want to play you probably want to take the knight is because then knight f2 can become a threat. Knight takes f2.
Absolutely, yeah. That's rough. And I mean, right, okay, the fact that... so this goes back to the Russian classic, right? If you play knight e4, then because you've moved your bishop off of f1, there's nothing defending the g2 pawn, so you threaten knight takes f2, forking, you know, like the queen and the rook and being just a general mating threat. So we get knight b d7. Interesting.
The slight thing was knight e4. The slight issue was the f7, but I didn't see any way to capitalize there.
Right.
And yeah, and before bishop g3, I kind of liked h3 for white. And actually now I probably still like it. Because if bishop takes, then we put our queen to f3, and it seems like a very nice square for the queen, because now if black knight ever moves, we just jump straight to h5. And we kind of time pin the knight. Or not.
I don't know why knight e4 was a bad move there, or why Dreamer preferred.
There was a lot of concrete lines there which we didn't analyze, so it's not surprising that we don't know some things about it.
I
guess that's fair, but there were a lot of aggressive concrete lines that...
Yeah, but like we didn't analyze it. We should have analyzed it.
Probably the reason he didn't win for that is because you have more flexibility by playing the knight d7 first.
I mean, I guess
just
that's
watching
true.
what Ryan is going to play right now. But I think that even
I like h3, and I think Ryan hovers over h3. I kind of wonder why he didn't play it last move.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, okay, yeah, but on the flip side, with the flexibility, you also give Ryan like a turn to play mitigating prophylactic moves, right? After h3, knight e4 is out of the position. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Can we talk about this knight on f6? What about the knight on f6?
It's beautiful.
I mean, I agree, but you know what?
No,
like you can't take it with the bishop. You can't take it with the pawn.
Yeah. You know, like there is like the most beautiful horse in the world or something.
Okay, Mage said something really interesting. Is that you have to always consider if it takes f6, it has at some point enough value to justify it.
Yeah, that's why I was considering maybe like queen d2 or something, which is good anyway because it defends f2, right?
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I really don't know why.
Knight BD2. Interesting. Both players electing to get their queenside knights into the game. Maybe that was like a handshake agreement. It was like a one-turn ceasefire where they were like, no rush, no rush. You ever notice how the white knight has a black outline, but the black knight only on the back? Really makes you think, huh? This is the kind of insightful commentary that you can expect. Blocking the e-file is unsportsmanlike?
Weirdly enough, I did think about that.
About what? Knight D5?
No, about what Lexi said.
Okay.
I genuinely have thought about it.
All right.
And I didn't come up with an answer. I didn't try for very long.
For fuck's sake. Okay, now what do you do as Dreamer? Right? The position feels more solid. I mean, you can't play E4 now, for sure, right? 94. And so what are your other plans? That was all I had. Knight H5.
And then probably G6 and rotating into F5 with the knight. At some point.
Knight H5 and then rotating to...
Like, Knight H5, G6. I mean, it's a slow plan, but maybe in the long term you can probably do it like that.
You know what? Maybe actually... Well... I don't know.
And
maybe you just go like Queen C2 and then Castle Queenside or something. You know? I mean, that's the only way that I've seen E4 games play out successfully is when you sort of keep in the back pocket and slowly creep toward... You like bait your opponent into, you know, a structure that they need to do to like defend against everything that's going on. That becomes disadvantageous when you creep toward a nicely set up queenside castle structure, right? This is why you go 94 when you have the chance, because now black just gets crushed slowly again. Ban E4.
I think the thing with H3 was probably just bishop takes, queen takes, and then maybe like even rook f8, and maybe black is fine or something. Okay.
Wait, sorry, bishop takes, queen takes, then what?
Just rook f8, maybe defending the f pawn.
Oh, rook f8.
Yeah, my idea was that just queen on the f3 would have pinned that knight, and would have never moved.
This is crazy. Dreamer once again taking twice as much time as Ryan so far. Ryan only down 5 minutes. Dreamer almost down 10.
Yeah, and actually I had similar positions, I think definitely against Toms. And I think probably against Romat, if I remember correctly, but Romat can correct me. I think he did.
This looks like the CD420.
The E4, E5 sort of rush.
This is a crazy structure.
Yeah, but like, if you manage, the thing I've noticed playing pawns that, if he manages to push the pawn sort of all the way to E5, it's back to being much less crazy.
Right. It's just crazy how not in trouble the white king is.
Yeah, just huge pawn chain, connect 4.
Right. Connect 4 rush. H3 queen E2 threatening E takes F6 and life sucks. I mean, I agree.
Maybe here.
You can put and life sucks after every line and it will still be true.
True. Queen E2 queenside castle. I was thinking, well, okay, if queen E2 queenside castle, then you've got an anti-castle travel to play against. Which, I mean, maybe isn't that big a deal, but maybe is. Which is why I was thinking queen C2 queenside castle, but I guess there's like a tiny window where you leave like F2 super vulnerable because No, because the knight recaptures the knight on f3 now. So yeah, I don't know why I wouldn't do queen c2.
I don't think castling is all that necessary for a white even.
I really like queen c7 here for black, says Romad.
Queen
Oh,
C-
okay, to try and work toward like a queenside castle yourself?
Oh no, but also to take because if you play queen c7, you're attacking.
Oh, it
e5.
threatens knight takes e5.
Yes, and
Ah, yes, okay. But
And
you don't
start
have enough
building up.
fuel for it, do you?
I mean the knight is Spain, so at least you might be able to gain a little bit of material back. Not everything, but
Okay, so you're saying if after queen c7, so knight takes e5, pawn takes e5, queen takes e5, knight takes, bishop takes queen,
Which is
retakes, but then you're just down. Or let's see, knight, queen. Wow, okay, so we see queen
Well, that's
b6
interesting.
instead. Interesting. I guess taking away the
I
option
was,
of sorry, go ahead.
I was slightly worried about undefending the e7 bishop, but
Narik says, wrong order, you remove the knight as a defender, but then maybe Narik forgets that there's a knight on d2 that just immediately replaces it, so I'm not so sure.
wait, I think I got the idea here. Dreamer wants to play knight takes e5 right now, and then queen takes f2 if after the recapture, and then
Yeah.
I'm probably with the bishop and with a Tchaikovsky mate. So you cannot.
Oh,
So he
I
can
see.
probably get rid of the bishop of the pawn if Ryan is not careful here.
Sorry, go ahead and repeat that line for me real quick.
Okay, so you have so Ryan has to defend e5 now because knight takes e5 will be threatening because either
You're saying there's a discovered travel onto f2 that he has to worry about.
not the trouble. Queen takes on f2.
Oh, queen
directly.
takes f2 and then the travel, like the Tchaikovsky, the original Tchaikovsky, the Russian
Yes.
classic,
Yes.
if you will.
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely correct. Okay, wow, that's great. Well spotted, right. So knight takes e5, and then if pawn captures, I mean, if knight captures, then you just win the opponent's queen. But if the pawn captures, then you have queen takes f2. Wow. Okay. Interesting. So Ryan opts not to go for queen e2, which is something that he talks about doing all the time because it is just the best, most safe move in a position like this.
yeah, here
Which
obviously
makes sense because he defends the b pawn. But now, I mean, knight takes e5 is on the board. Oh, right. So here it doesn't work because the queen is no longer pinned to or the knight is no longer pinned.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and so
I mean, I said queen c2 should happen anyway. So
the thing is, it's crazy how pinned the f6 knight was the entire game. Sort of.
true.
Like it's still pinned now. The bishop is like it's not hanging, but
Wow. Okay.
is-
Queenside castle. Right. Okay. Interesting. I wonder if we're gonna see a queenside castle soon.
Not,
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
think we're
interesting.
going to see it from Ryan.
there is
The
a
king is chilling on
potential-
the e file.
Shouldn't he be okay? Like, what if you take the f6 knight? Are you just wrecked for sure immediately?
for now, yes.
Yeah. Right now, yes.
But
But
the
right?
knight on f3 is no longer pinned
It
to
is
the
pinned.
queens. So
It is pinned to the bishop.
Because then you take with h6. So with g6.
sorry, it's pinned to
to
the
F-
bishop.
Bishop isn't defended.
Oh,
like,
the
at least
bishop
you
isn't
want-
defended. That's such a good point. Well,
Unless you
well
want to
said.
play knight g8.
No, you're so right.
Which
You're
might
so right.
even be the
All right, well, h3
Or-
happens. He's trying to get his get this bishop the heck out of here.
We might be able to. I think that. Oh no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make sense. I was thinking about bishop f5, but it doesn't look like it's good enough.
E takes
Well-
f6 might be defendable for white, claims mage. I wonder if c5 instead of castle has any steam. Oh, c5 instead of castle is ballsy. All right, we see the bishop. Just retreat to h5. Nothing too crazy here, which makes a lot of sense. Throwing it into the f3 knight, I think, accomplishes very little.
Yes, this is
Andre.
a facilitation. Yeah.
And Samet, do you think that before queen b1 might be in time for an early
No
Tchaikovsky?
way. No. Like you're saying like turns
an
before early.
Yeah, so you set up the Tchaikovsky a turn earlier, and then you defend it with your queen again. So in that case, what happens is if they set up a defense, you just capture it anyways back.
Right. I don't think there's enough of a window, right? Especially with like the knight on d7, because then you can put like a rook on b7. Maybe. I don't know. I need to look back into the past turns, but I suspect that idea doesn't have steam. But it's an interesting thought though.
It's a common process. It's a common line that has happened to me in the past. What you have to do is when you set up your castle, is you actually have to defend now for a couple turns, usually to prevent setups like that one.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Wow.
What?
Okay.
This-
Never would have
it's
guessed.
very-
Okay. I mean,
Wait.
Like it's super
Knight-
interesting.
I guess you're right. With
94?
this pawn chain, like there's no way that. Okay, then again. Takes it. Yeah.
Knight g4 here?
Knight g4 here was insanely
Sacrifice.
what I was thinking.
But what if knight g4 I just take on e7?
Knight g4
Like,
take
what
on
is-
e7. Oh my god, okay. E7 is totally undefended, and then you're kind of screwed, so I totally agree.
Oh yeah.
Which makes h6 necessary here, right? To probe the structure. I like how just before this, Average said
Yeah.
white can never castle either way, which is quite a claim.
Ryan did it to spite,
Wait, so if the
Average-
bishop moves this turn, then you have... No, you can like never get there, right? Because there's an
Yeah.
anti-castle travel, but it's just impossible.
Yeah.
h6, g5, g4.
Yeah, and now you cannot take the knight for, well, obviously bishop is under attack, but also it will open up the file.
Wow,
which
the
is also-
tables feel like they really
Very
turned
deadly.
here because, I mean, Andre claims that it's safe, which is like relatively true, but on the other hand, like Dreamer's King isn't under a ton of pressure itself, right? So you can just march all of your pawns straight up. board?
How would you do that without losing the knight?
I mean, okay, so... Well,
Okay,
there's still
so-
turns. No, because he hasn't... I mean, he just castled, right? So if you take the knight here, then, like, you take back with the pawn
Yeah.
or whatever, or the
No,
knight
here,
or whatever it is.
no. But if you play g5, then I take your knight. Probably.
Yeah, but then you get the other piece back. Right? Okay, so g5 immediately.
Okay, so okay, can I quickly explain how we?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
So I think this is kind of like Ryan sort of betting on getting a piece and surviving with it,
Right.
and Dreamer has to attack and has to prove that he has enough attack, which is why it's so exciting. And this is basically apparently what both players were thinking for some time now.
Right, right. Ryan's got
And
his
then-
eyes
Yeah.
on the prize of that f6 knight.
Okay.
Although
But now
admittedly...
g4.
Yeah, g4, exactly, yeah. Wow.
Oh wow.
This looks rough. That's crazy. Holy shit.
Because if
This is a
g4
great position.
here, like either you're going to take the knight or you're going to take the pawn.
Yeah.
And the pawn is going, and the structure is going to weaken so much.
You probably take the knight, right? Because like
well,
you're
the knight can move.
No, right. I wonder if knight g4 would have worked instead of g5. Not sure I got the timing right, but there might be a bishop travel on the h1 rook. If white does h takes g4. Jeez. Is that what he's thinking about here? Who knows?
Okay, well, is there going to be a sack here?
Wait, but okay. And what if it takes the knight? I think that it has already it that now black
Okay, so
white
takes the knight.
Okay.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
so takes the knight.
sack happens.
Okay, I mean takes the knight, right? Or maybe not. Takes the knight,
It takes the knight, we take the bishop.
takes the bishop, but then
And that's
I
Knight
guess
takes-
taking the pawn.
but then we take the rook with check.
Yeah, losing the rook with check is
So
kind
you
of
lose
rough.
2 pieces. You lose 2 pieces, but maybe you still can attack the.
maybe knight
Jeez.
takes f6 might be interest. I think that knight takes f6.
And
might
now
be-
the sort of there is one side effect of this move is that now white bishop on g3 is looking, it's kind of staring down that black king.
Yeah, this diagonal here, which is always a real pain to play around.
I mean, the file is going to open for Dreamer.
Yeah, how do you prevent
Oh, bishop takes.
takes with the bishop? Okay. I mean, I guess Dreamer wants to keep the knight on d7 because it defends b8. Right?
Is
Talking about this bishop that's staring into, because that's like the weakness of the queenside castle, right? Wow, okay, 95? No, he doesn't like it. Second thoughts?
Just to
95, I
trade
think,
pieces.
leads
but
to like after the trades, then you might have too much. You might have leave too much power on the G file, and I think that's the reason he wasn't sure right now.
Wow, all right. Opens up the H file. That's crazy. This is crazy. Right, okay. Close it up, kicks the bishop.
Okay.
I mean, it goes right back, right?
Yeah, Ryan has some balls.
G8 here, maybe.
This
Yeah.
just in chat.
You know, like all he does is completely reasonable, but it's just, you know, you have to be emotionally prepared to play this game,
right.
even if you find them.
Damn.
Mitch
But
made
I'm-
the point that the black queen looks ridiculous there. There's no point now to be there because
Yeah, I
the
don't
black
see
is
a way forward for Dreamer.
For Dreamer. I'm
So-
surprised. Well, okay. What if...
And if Dreamer
I mean,
doesn't-
what if, you just pull your dark square bishop back to e7 and you push your g-pawn and you take those open files with the rooks? Like, that's the way forward, right? Okay, beginning
Yeah.
with rook g8, it looks like.
The thing is, white are not that far away from the attack of their own, maybe.
So Rook G8 also has an interesting concept. Like, if at some point he has if he's fast enough, maybe Dreamer is able to to rotate the queen over there. But it has to be at
That's
some
true. That is
specific
the
moment.
one way to make that a possibility. But I mean, there's also the fact that as soon as you move your queen away, like I agree to some extent with what Mage is saying, but it's not like it looks that much more insane than the white queen, because it's doing the job of
Okay.
like defending, right?
Okay.
I mean,
Check
at
this out.
least the
What?
Okay,
white queen is
trades
the right
on
side.
interesting.
Bishop f5. Bishop f5. Yes. Stop talking.
Bishop f5 takes. Oh, we've got 2D tactics.
It's not 2D. It's.
You're right.
kind
It's a
of
5D tactic, but
Well,
I
it
mean,
might. It's 5D tactic that might not work, but it looks funny.
yeah, I mean,
But
he definitely wants to do it.
But if bishop
Because I
b5,
think-
if bishop b5 wouldn't rook takes, g3 be a problem?
That must be what he's calculating, right? There's nothing else there.
I guess we can just.
Because
Yeah, you
rook
can
takes,
just-
and you cannot really take with the pawn.
Oh.
Because if you take, then bishop takes on d4. Check.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. Well spotted. Okay, so the idea
then
here, bishop f5, and then if you take with the pawn queen here, and then you're threatening the rook and also this knight here, which is defended, but this is 5D chess, so that doesn't mean very much, especially with this bishop that's sitting here on g3. As an alternative, as counterplay here, like Losa suggested, bishop f5, and then you just take the bishop on g3 is difficult, because if you take back on g3 with the f2 pawn, then bishop straight into d4 isn't a piece sacrifice, because if he takes back with the c pawn, the queen comes into d4, and I mean that's mate right there.
And if you don't take the rook, then you just take on g2 with check, and you will have a really exposed king.
Right? Yeah. If you take, you're screwed, and if you don't take, you're more screwed. Wow! Wow! How the turntables.
You know, it's super complicated. I think it's not,
This is a crazy game.
it's not turned to any side just yet.
Oh, interesting. Is this a Jurassic? Or is this just a defensive d4?
Oh, it defends d4.
Okay.
I guess here,
Like Jurassic wouldn't work unless he wants to Jurassic.
Well,
right
just
away.
because it undefends... Well, okay, it doesn't actually
Oh,
undefend
wait.
b2 because then you take on a7 and probably win the game, right?
Maybe you can play here rook takes g3, and if pawn takes, you have knight c5.
Knight c... Oh, similar threat.
Yeah,
oh,
and then
and it forks the queen and the bishop.
and the bishop, forcing the bishop back. Forcing
The
the queen back.
queen back to defend the bishop. Back to
And then
c6.
you bring
Is
the knight,
there-
and then you bring.
Is there no way that we can take the knight?
Well, okay, so
Well,
let's
if you
see.
take it, you get mated.
Is
Why?
it... Well, assuming... Well, because the triagonal opened up, and you
Yeah,
don't
but
have
it's
any
not
other
enough.
pieces to cover it.
It's not enough. No, queen d4.
Oh, you're saying queen d4 to replace... Right. Wait, but your bishop is still on f6.
No, the
Because
bishop
you move
was-
the knight.
Wait.
Right? So if knight up
Oh,
here...
oh,
well, it
no, no.
doesn't happen anyway. We get h5.
I forgot. Okay,
Yeah.
for some reason the bishop was already a separate.
h5 here, Lexi calling out the dreamer move.
I think that h5 makes more sense into the chess. So
you think that that's why in the 5D Chess World Championship this was chosen over the potentially
there's
lethal
like
idea of
so
sacking on
many-
G3.
So many
yeah,
sort of
because
weird tactics going on here.
I mean,
Like
Queen
cannot
travel to
deny that.
a7, says Nikita. In the future, I see. So
Oh.
when it's
Or
defended
even
by the queen. Maybe.
because why they get an attack of their own?
Yeah, actually, that did really come together pretty quickly, huh? I wonder why...
For example, right now, maybe we're already threatening bishop a6.
Yeah, bishop a6. And you can't... I mean, you don't have knight c5 anymore.
but you might have rook takes and then knight to e5.
Oh, if rook
E5
takes, we
still.
take on b7 with check, and then take the rook, probably.
Rook takes
it was
take
fun.
on b7 with check?
Yeah.
Sorry, how do you take on b7?
So bishop a6, Rook takes G3.
Oh, you're saying, but okay, it's black's turn though, so I was thinking rook G3 happens before.
Yeah, that was threat.
I see.
If white, if black passes.
Maybe.
I don't know, Alexi. I'm.
Rook G3 might have been necessary against queen takes A7. I feel like. Hold on, what's happened?
just-
Oh, bishop back to defend the queen. Well, to
Lexi,
defend the
this
queen's
is-
side anyway.
Alexis, this is what it looks like watching your videos.
I think this is just too slow.
Oh, wait. But the pawn is pinned.
That seems brutal.
The pawn is pinned. I forgot about it.
Well, but I think it's fast enough for white. Even if the pawn is pinned, you just bring the rook after queen takes.
No, they're gonna just knight takes.
And the rook takes. Boom. I don't know. After bishop d8, I think Dreamer might be in trouble. The pawn is only pinned if you're a coward. I see.
Oh yeah. That's a fair point, actually. Ironically, because we will.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done. Okay.
Bishop
Okay.
e2.
I'm so tempted in.
I to
will be so
prevent
tempted in-
h4? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Well, you can't just.
Oh, check the.
Okay.
Bro, but the move before. Wow, check this out. The move before, knight c5 instead of bishop e2. Knight c5, and if knight takes, bishop g8, king takes, and then
I was thinking about that. I was thinking
Yes.
about exactly that. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if there isn't something there or if. Oh, okay. So maneuvering the queen to jump into d6.
Yeah, and rook takes g3 looks scary, but I guess there is.
Rook takes g3. Why don't you? Well, I guess if rook takes g3 and then you just hop into d6, then you can travel.
No, rook takes g3. We have to take at least pawn.
Oh, if you don't take that, I guess. that
Oh,
rook
you're
takes
right.
three is different.
Because then rook takes g2 and then you lose the game basically. Probably.
Yeah, and then, and I guess that here another thing we can probably see is,
Oh my god, okay,
like-
let's look at the timers really quickly. Less than a minute left on Dreamer's clock, so they can't like iron out all of these variations that thoroughly anymore. Ryan with a little bit more time. Bishop g8, knight takes g8, and what?
Yeah, Lexus, that was after knight c5. Instead of bishop e2, knight c5, and if knight takes, then bishop g8.
Yeah.
And then king takes, and then we check.
So king takes. And then you've got the Tchaikovsky. Because the queen defends itself on a7, so then queen takes, win. It's still bishop
I
b8.
guess there was.
Oh yeah,
queen
it's still
takes.
bishop
Just,
b8. That's a good point. Okay, wow.
Oh.
All right, h4.
There is no need to make fun of my coordinates because I will never learn them anyway. So you.
Hold on though.
Oh,
Hold
wait,
on.
wait. I think
What's
that
the
this is
problem
losing.
with queen d6
Yeah.
here?
26 looks winning.
Oh, now you're getting into Tchaikovsky.
Yeah,
Auto Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
looks winning.
so okay, so
What's-
queen. I mean, he's got to look at the travel right now. Well, no, because if queen d6, then you take the bishop and you only have the queen supporting itself, and all of the squares are covered twice. So queen d6 doesn't actually win. So you trade away the rook,
Oh.
and now you're looking
Winning
at these
is
travels.
fine, right?
Why trouble?
That's the point of Tchaikovsky. You don't have to support the piece. It's not attack.
Yeah, but
I think-
support to where? Because if you only have the queen, then the king doesn't have to do the taking, because you've got the
But queen d
bishop and the knight
Oh.
to recapture, right?
but queen d6 just works because then you just take the knight and then king
Yeah,
takes.
it's
and then
Oh, you
just
take
travel.
the knight. Right, of course. Okay, I'm with you. Ah,
I think this
travel
is-
here.
Oh,
I guess this
Yeah,
thing-
so this is what Nikita pointed out like 6 turns ago. No
think
Jurassics
it's-
now. That's a good point.
I think Queen D6 would have worked, and I don't think there were any Jurassics. Like you could have prevented it.
Well, this seems really difficult to figure out with 20 seconds on your clock.
Yeah.
Oh God. With that
No.
bishop
Definitely
staring
frustrating.
down the diagonal, that is rough. Okay, 10 seconds left. We go with rook takes g3 to get that queen off of that diagonal. Ooh,
I don't
that
think
is
they will
a
be-
nail in the coffin, right?
Yeah. I don't think there will be
Yeah.
anything else to
That looks really bad.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do here because it's already been a turn. And so if you take that queen, then queen a8 is mate.
Also, I just forgot, that I had to.
Oh, but then there's a travel potentially, but nothing that defends that square. So he's screwed. He has to travel with the bishop.
Oh, I win 10k. I win 10k.
Oh my God. Okay.
Jesus.
Flash.
GG. What a game. There were so many ideas back and forth as a result of the e4, which I did not expect to see in the last game of the day. Holy. Wow.
Yeah, GG's.
GG's. What an amazing series of games we saw. A very climactic game for ending the day, the first day of 2 days of the 5D Chess World Championship 2023. Ryan goes up 3-1 in game score. This is a best of 8 format. So Dreamer can only afford to, in the next 4 games, which will be played a week from today, give up a single game, or the coveted 5D Chess World Champion title that he is defending could be in shambles. That's it for the day. It's already been half of my stream, so we're gonna pivot into different content, I think. But huge shout outs and thank you to both of you for volunteering to co-commentate. It was a lot of fun watching these matches with you. The matches were so hype, and it's just always a pleasure. So what do you guys have to say as we sign off here? Andre first.
I had great chemistry with Lexi. And yeah, I would have said one more thing, but I'm afraid you will not invite me next time. So
All right,
I
cool.
will.
Thanks so much, Andre. Los, what do you have to share with us before we sign out?
Thank you very much for having me here. It was a great
pleasure,
honor to
of
be
course. Thanks
part
for
of
coming.
commentating here. And I think that next week is going to be really, really tense. I think that probably what we're going to see is Dreamer either going more risky in order to win all or nothing, or we're going to see Dreamer going to play more stable positions and try to outplay Ryan in those situations.
Hell yeah.
And I think that this is going to be really exciting. This is going to be a really exciting 5D Chess World Championship, and I'm looking forward to whatever happens in the end.
I couldn't
Oh, yeah,
agree
by the
more. Yeah.
But one last thing, if anybody is watching who is new to 5D Chess, competitive scene exists. And by the way, one of the competitors, I just want to advertise Dreamer's video because it's like the only nice thing Dreamer ever made.
Okay, yes, as a testament to the one shred of good that Dreamer has brought to our world, I'll link in the description Dreamer's video about the history of the
because it's
ELO
amazing.
of development of 5D chess.
But
The
it's
competitive
all-
scene still exists and is thriving.
Yeah, but it completely overshadows his bad trash talk attacks. So,
Okay, very good. With that, on that note, I'm gonna sign out here. Thanks again to you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.